Hey everybody, welcome to the GhostChaser Podcast. My name is GhostChaser Nick, filmmaker here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we have got, this is episode 7, we've got Jaden Morelli here, who I've heard a lot about from a lot of other people, just word getting around. Apparently he's on like every fucking set that seems to be happening here in town, and so he's kind of done a bunch of different stuff. He does his own directorial and cinematography work, but he also seems to kind of be the glue for a lot of other people's sets, where he just kind of fills in the gaps wherever they need him, and he's willing to kind of do that. So we're just gonna go for it. This is our first time we've met, but I feel like I already know him to some degree because everybody fucking talks about him. So, but without any further ado, Jaden Morelli, hey, what's up? Welcome. I'm bonking my shit. Everything's gonna start shaking and stuff. All right, so. Tell me, well, I just kind of, this is how it works, because everything ends up becoming kind of stream of consciousness, I'm noticing, with all of my shit, and I do tend to ramble a little bit. So we're going to start with trying to get your backstory about doing film in Las Vegas and all of that, but inevitably it'll just go into some weird-ass trajectory. Don't feel weird about that if it totally does. So tell me, I'm going to adjust your camera just a little bit. Tell me about how you got into all this.
Yeah, so I actually started out 2017, right in high school. I was studying video game development myself. I was super into into 3D assets and creating worlds that you couldn't physically create in the real world, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So video games and stuff like that were super just what I was into.
That was your thing, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and so Fall Out Boy through a competition through like Music Bed or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but a competition kind of launched me into learning about everything that went into creating a music video. And then from that point, I was like, I dove in. I had like a 2-week deadline, but in that 2 weeks, I like dove into what it takes to.
You hadn't really done anything film related at all?
Nothing at all.
Okay. So, and who did you just have local artists that you're familiar with? You're like, I want to shoot a music video, or is it for Fall Out Boy's music?
So it was just that Fall Out Boy wanted you to use their song.
Oh, okay.
And you can do anything else.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How did it turn out?
I missed the deadline.
Okay. All right.
But I learned a lot, and filming it and editing it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the whole process of creating a video.
It immediately just kind of, so you wanted to do video games before that. Were you just playing, or were you just studying video game development?
I was studying video game development. I was learning Blender. I was learning how to create assets and how to actually use that
for sure
to make a game.
Oh, okay.
And
which is in film now, with Unreal Engine being used in the video walls and stuff like that. Those two worlds are merging now.
Yeah. I kind of was ahead of the hump, I guess, of the style of what they were doing.
Is that something that you want to continue to pursue, like working on with Unreal and stuff like that?
I would love to.
Have you done anything with it yet? Or I guess you're using Blender, but it's similar stuff, right?
Yeah, I want to do more visual effects and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
have you done any visual effects compositing with film yet?
Well, I actually used AI Midjourney.
Okay.
To
I'm not familiar with
create
that.
some backgrounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You did for what project?
For this music video, sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so you started out. Did you have a camera at that time when you first got started and all of that?
So that was the hardest thing.
You just did all of it on your phone, or what?
Yeah, I shot everything on my phone, and for that first music video, for that first like the Fall Out Boy thing, yeah, I shot everything on my phone. I had a friend edit it for me actually, and we kind of just were on calls and stuff. But my way to get into everything was reaching out to local people and just offering my time.
Yeah. So that was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you when I was thinking about this. So you gave me some info about all the different stuff on film sets that you've done, which you've clearly done a lot of different things. I'm sure that there are a lot of people, if anybody's watching this podcast that's local, that's new to film, or maybe they're in film school. I've already bumped into plenty of film school students and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think people, because you're really involved in a lot of different, apparently your networking is probably your biggest skill, is my observation.
Wow, yeah. I thought it was really important. For instance, I just felt like, to get in, people would talk about getting into Hollywood, right? And it's like, oh, you got to know people. I want to be here. I'm here in Vegas. I need to know people here. If I want to work on sets, I need to know people that are working.
Yeah. So what has been your your strategy as far as how you network, because you're clearly connected with a lot of people. Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know, like, yeah, you do your own stuff, but you've worked on some bigger sets where you're not the cinematographer or whatever. You're doing what they need you to do, and you're happy to do it. How are you making those connections? I'm sure a lot of people watching would like to know about how to do that.
Yeah. So I would say that the biggest thing is a lot of people forget about Facebook.
Okay.
A lot of people forget about Facebook and think that, it's just
It's
the
for
grandparents.
old people like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is just the grandparents on there.
I fucking hate Facebook, but I'm on it a lot, just particularly for movie stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Facebook. I used to not like how people would just post terrible things.
It's still like that.
It is like that.
It's awful.
But I was able to find local Facebook groups and local communities and just kind of, I've been on plenty of sets where, I learned what not to do.
Okay, I think that's important for people to know. I think people would maybe be too scared to dive into a role that they're not familiar with because I don't want to fuck it up or whatever. I've definitely been in that position. Like someone says something, I'm like, I'm not sure what that means. I'm just gonna fucking roll with it until I figure out what the fuck they're talking about.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, it was like PAing on the local sets, and then it was kind of just. I definitely threw myself into some positions where I kind of had to learn on the fly as well.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think that's definitely part of it is being brave enough to fail. So, would you say that's been something that you've got in your tool bag there? I mean, like, you have the guts to just dive into something?
Yeah, a lot of the time, it's simple enough to learn as you go. At least if you're, have a great foundation, you can kind of just learn as you go kind of thing. And especially just seeing what other people do on other sets, just that.
I think it's important for people to acknowledge, to know that there are different types of movie sets, and those different types of sets require different types of things, and not everybody that does movies knows how to do every fucking thing, right? People that work with Unreal Engine and video walls, like I have some experience. I have a job that's incorporating that here coming up soon. I told the guys, like, I don't have any experience with this, and he's like, in 6 days you'll know everything about it. And I was like, all right. I mean, if you feel like feel confident enough about me diving into that, right? But you have to kind of think about like just like the guy that shoots like rom-coms doesn't necessarily do Mandalorian volume type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're different types of things, and so there's going to be things that he knows how to do and things that he doesn't know how to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like in the film world, there's all different tiers of that type of stuff. People are stronger with shooting in natural light, and people are stronger with manufacturing their own light in controlled sets. People have their skills that they lean into.
Absolutely.
So not everybody's like. So I think this whole, I don't know how to do this. Like, there's a lot of people that don't know how to do certain things. They're just leaning into the things that they know how to do.
Yeah, and you got to take a risk sometimes to kind of learn more. And if you're not learning more, if you're not adding more to your tool belt, then I mean,
if you're not challenging yourself, you're going to stay stuck where you're at. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much to do in film.
Yeah,
you can stick in one spot, find a niche, and be happy. Or there's a lot of other things. Like I'm sure that they filmed, Dune in the dust in the desert. You know what I mean? So that's like pretty intense filmmaking if that's what you want to do too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, if you want to be that devoted to it, that's for sure.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but you didn't go to film school or anything like that?
Nope. No film school.
I think it's important for people to know. I didn't go to film school either. I've actually only been doing this 5 years. I haven't been doing it that long.
Cheers.
So I was always working a day job and then doing films on the weekend. But what I was doing, I think this is the older perspective. But my whole thing was like, well, I'll just save the money and hire a bunch of people that know how to do the stuff and surround myself with those people. And then I'll direct and produce the film and write it. And there are things that I'll definitely be doing that, have to learn how to do. But you surround yourself with all the technical aspects. The crew, they know how to make it look good and sound good and all of that type of shit. And that was actually the fastest way for me to learn, was to be surrounded by people that knew what they were doing.
It's a great help to be like, I'm just taking these notes,
and because
mentors.
If you're in film school, you're working with people that know just as much as you do. So you might be doing things wrong and not know it.
That is very true. And for instance, the first year of sets that I was on, there were some really, really great ones that from mentors that I still work with to this day.
Yeah.
But there's some people that I just haven't worked with since then. I don't know what they're doing, but I just haven't worked with them since.
For sure. Have there been people you work on a set and then you're kind of like, I ain't never working with that person again? I'm not asking you to badmouth anybody. I'm just asking, has that happened?
That was at the very beginning.
I experience it all the time.
There's some times, but I've made a lot of friends with the people that I continue to work with.
Yeah, it's good.
So it's been very good energy. Mainly, I would say on some of the bigger sets where I've met like an AD, I'm like, okay,
like,
they were not a
guy.
great person to work with.
Luckily, the AD is kind of expected to be a dick to some degree.
That's fair.
I mean, their whole goal is to run a tight ship.
Yeah,
that's their fucking job.
Yeah.
So that's I not that I necessarily am thrilled that they're like that, but it's a little more common.
Yeah, and maybe that was one of the first bigger sets that I had worked on, so maybe I didn't really know.
So how did you score those bigger set gigs?
Wow.
Just people you knew, or are you applying on Staff Me Up, or what?
Mainly people that I know would kind of put in a good word for me sometimes.
That's cool.
I got to operate for a feature documentary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and
Has that come out yet?
No, it's not out yet. We're actually going to shoot the last day on the 8th of May.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But you're one of the cam ops or DP for that?
So now we're meeting back up again, and I'm the DP for this for the second unit.
Okay.
So back when we filmed this the first go at it, the DP ended up getting sick.
Oh, damn.
And I was there. I was brought on to DIT and maybe help with camera.
Okay.
Kind of like an AC DIT.
Yeah. Just cam department.
I've operated on Red before, but it wasn't like suited up the way that this guy's was. And he didn't really give me a rundown of how he likes.
Well, you had like a tear deck on it, and you had your freaking like.
No tear deck. Just Ingenue lens. Big guy.
The Ingenues are great though.
So beautiful. I have something to show you.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But just how you put it away and take certain things off and leave certain things on, like the eyepieces and things like that. But I ended up having to DP a scene on the day because
awesome,
the DP got
though.
sick, and the director looks across from me and he's like, "Can you operate?" He's like Italian,
shit,
heavy.
yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. That's
I'm like,
incredible.
I can do it. I was very confident in operating the camera, like no problem. But
The Reds are actually pretty simple. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
The Reds and Aries are actually less complicated than the prosumer cameras because the prosumer cameras have too many features.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a Red, and once I saw my second film we shot in a Red, and so I was like, this is not that complicated. You just touch and press, and
It's so great.
it was so much easier. But then you get like a Sony, and you're like, I was messing with the Canon R6, and I was like, fuck this camera. The fucking menu diving is awful.
I've only had a hard time in Canon.
I've not used a lot of Canons. I was using Panasonic initially and didn't really know what I was doing. I've handled some Sonys, which I have a lot better luck with. I think the organization on the menuing is a lot easier to deal with. It's still a lot, but it's easier to find shit.
UI is a very helpful thing when it's good.
Absolutely. But the Canon, I was just like shooting for someone else, and I was just like, dude, this is awful. Like, I don't want to navigate this thing at all. Like, just changing the frame rate was like a 4-step process.
I can't imagine.
I was like, well, why is it this difficult? That's something that you're gonna change.
Yeah,
It's
like
something
all
you're
the
gonna.
time.
It's something you're gonna. If you're doing slow mo or whatever, you're gonna change that stuff. So
And
why
it's
are
that deep.
So why is it four menu spots deep?
It's too much.
It's ridiculous. But Red,
like
you
2
just
buttons.
tap, scroll, boom, like it's right there.
And the Blackmagic ones are like that too.
Yeah,
on
they are. The
screen.
interface is better on the
It's
Blackmagic
stupid.
too. So you dove in and you shot on this big boy Ingenue lens on the Red, and
Yes.
did you have? So you didn't have tear deck, but did you have like an actual expander module and stuff like that coming out of it, like a bunch of stuff plugged into it, time code, that type of stuff? Or no?
No time code. We just did slate. Had 2 V-mount battery plate on it.
Were you manually doing follow focus, or did you have an AC handling that for you?
We did do manual follow focus on the side because it was just sticks interviews.
Yeah. What stop were you at?
Oh,
Oh, it's just interviews, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, but we shot some pretty looking interviews though.
Yeah,
So,
hell yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you clearly made them feel confident enough. They're like, second unit, we'd like you to come back and shoot this thing for us.
Yeah, and he had me get my crew too.
That's cool.
Sound, gaffer, all that stuff.
So when you're assembling a crew and stuff, I'm sure you've got your guys that you work with. You go with like regularly and stuff like that. But are you pitching jobs and stuff like that too with your whole crew, or are you just kind of like, hey, I know these homies. We have a shorthand of getting shit done.
No, so that's what I do is like I promote myself as like the full service. So like I recently had this girl Callie, who wanted to do a reality show on her new weed strain that she was getting.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And so I told, because she had just asked me for a camera operator
Okay.
and to shoot, and I was like, well, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
let's get into this. Like,
Yeah,
what
for
are
sure.
you doing? And so she told me that she only had a photographer ready, and that she was just looking for someone to film it, and had all these things ready to go.
Okay.
And then after a phone call with her, I was like, this is what you need, because I had already done reality shows before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done reality stuff. I had somebody, I think there is the same person's talking to both of us, something about a reality show coming up or whatever. They got posted or whatever. So asking me if I could shoot it or whatever.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So what reality show were you doing? What was it? It
So-
was that weed strain one?
So the one that I did, I've done a few. The first one I did was Zodiac House.
Okay.
That one was cool. But the weed strain one, that one was Kicking It with Cali Girl Kush.
Oh, okay.
And that one was really fun. 2 to 3 camera operation.
Oh, damn.
I rented some audio gear from BNC. I had a PA as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I just, pitched that.
So you
full
got your other
services.
2 cam ops, and you got your audio person and your PA, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I might be pitching a reality show. I can't. Probably shouldn't say anything about it yet. But it would be like a 2 cam op thing. So
Sweet.
But yeah, so I'm kind of. I mean, I'm new here, but I'm finding myself in the position where I'm having to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I've done my own like video work for like private companies and stuff like that. That's just been primarily me. But assembling crews for bigger stuff is actually. I've only done it on narrative. I haven't done it on. On any of the doc stuff or whatever, like nothing that big. In narrative stuff, I've got a fucking crew of like 8 or 9 people.
Yeah,
right.
totally.
But those are things that I'm producing and doing for my own like enjoyment.
Yeah.
But pitching a job and being able to do all of that, it's that kind of organization and being a producer essentially for the shot for the whole thing is like that's a whole other skill set.
It is. I actually kind of doing stuff on the fly sometimes, right? With in a rush, a director had reached out to me like 3-4 days out of this project that he was coming here to shoot. It was for this big artist, Carly Red. I don't know if she's on like reality TV shows.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar, but okay.
Yeah. But essentially, he reached out to me and was like, "Hey," he saw me posting on Instagram. He found me through Instagram, and he said, "Hey, I need a grip truck, first, second AC, art department PAs, and catering. Can you help me?"
Are you able to get all that stuff for him?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So do you find, I mean, if you're that good at doing that type of stuff, do you find yourself in the future potentially like just being a producer in general? If you're that good at assembling crew and stuff. Maybe that's only something you're doing to facilitate getting work, but if it's a skill set.
Yeah. For me, it was practice.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it was practice. For future projects, for business, just for what I do. I really would like to direct and have people that help me. But so my main thing is like if I'm gonna do something, I want to be able to understand what I'm asking for, right, with other people that I'm working with. So I don't want to be in a spot where I don't know.
I've actually said the same thing to a number of people. Like I'd like to, like I've learned, I mean, at least the rudimentary stuff about most departments, because I didn't want to ask for, like, I mean, when you first start out, you're asking people for things that you don't know if it's a good idea or not, and you learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's better to not be asking your crew to do something that's just a stupid fucking request.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Hey, we're going to shoot here under this overpass. And, like, you're not thinking about the fact that it's noisy as fuck under the overpass. And you're going to ADR the whole fucking thing. And you're asking your audio guy, hey, can you do that? He's not going to get a manageable, clip of any of that audio.
I wouldn't want to run it through iZotope and be like, all right, I hope it.
No, it's not even worth it. Not even. But you have to like, yeah. Instead of asking him to do that, find out what times that overpass has like no traffic.
There you go.
And like, all right, these intervals where there's no traffic, we're shooting the thing.
That's a great. Yeah.
But you have to know how audio works before you can fucking ask somebody that shit.
Exactly. And yeah, that's just was my standpoint was like, okay, if I'm going to be a director, as I do, as my path moves along, I want to learn all the different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So primarily directing and cinematography is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's your main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's me as well. I do all the other shit, but my whole thing is, cinematography is what pays the bills.
Right.
So I'm just going to go with that because getting directorial gigs are that's the hardest job to get. You're the guy in charge. No one's just going to like, hey, you want to direct this thing?
No, yeah. And that's why I pitch like the stuff that I do is like is like being that full service.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I actually was able to direct a trailer shoot that I did, and I was able to have a cam up, an audio guy. I was holding the bounce board because I needed to.
For sure.
I was able to direct.
I think, that's why they call it Hollywooding, like when you're holding the light or whatever, like, because people don't realize even in Hollywood, you're going to find yourself just kind of being hands-on and just doing shit yourself.
Totally.
That just happens all the time.
Totally.
Well, cool. So do you write as well, or do you prefer to direct other people's stuff that they've written?
Yeah. So I'm back to, when I was working on those video games, right? I had this imagination and creativity to create my own stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely working on stuff that I want to get done this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you say anything about what those things are?
Man, that would be the first time.
Well, I mean, you don't have to. Yeah, there's things that I will talk about and things that I won't talk about. So it's up to you.
I will say this. I will say that the project that I'm working on, it's called Relive. And I've written it, so I could say a couple things, but it's kind of like inspired from Black Mirror.
Okay.
And it's kind of like based on like society and how we treat things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
a feature or short?
This would be a short film.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to tell you.
You don't, dude. Don't betray your own conscience. If you don't feel comfortable sharing it, you don't have to. I was just curious because sometimes people get excited, like, oh, I want to talk about it.
I'm excited.
I mean, I've got my feature that I'm working on, Horse Girl, that I talk about all the fucking time. And it's crazy and demented, and
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's nuts. It'll be fun. I'm excited to kind of make my first feature to be really fucked up. So
fuck yeah.
So
some gnarly stuff.
Yeah. Have you written and directed any shorts yet?
No.
It's amazing that wasn't the first
of.
thing that you did. Like, you got into the production side first instead of doing your own stories.
Yes. Well, I learned from other people that I worked with how hard it was to do certain things like that. Doing what I do right now, getting a budget like that for a project that I want to do is not on my site right now.
Okay.
So just kind of waiting until the time is right to get it done. And I also was not, I didn't have the skills that I did today to really do what I wanted to do because I've been writing this thing for a couple years.
Okay.
So I just wasn't in a rush to make something that I wasn't happy with.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. I tend to take what I call the Roger Corman approach, which is take a look at the resources that you have that don't cost you any money and write things around that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like when we came here and we shot the teaser for Abandoning Tychicus, the desert looks like a fucking desert planet. Let me write a sci-fi thing that takes place out there, and then we did Shoegazer, which is just a one-man monologue, 7-minute thing, but we shot it, against the backdrop of the Strip.
I think I saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing, but it turned out really good.
Awesome.
But yeah, I kind of write around what resources that I've got, and then same with actors. If I find an actor, then I'm like, oh, this actor's really good. Like, I'll write a part for them. So K9 actually is one of those people.
Yeah.
So 3 of the first people that have been on this podcast are going to be in this new short film we're doing called Skyline.
Awesome.
We just did our first table read yesterday.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
I'm excited.
It's an 11-page crime thriller, that crime drama thing that we're shooting. But
let me know.
wrote it for these people that have been on the podcast.
That's the best. I've worked with K9 a few times, and he gives it in his character.
He does. He's an excellent actor. I'd like to see him do some more work because he's fully invested.
He's passionate about it.
Yeah, and what he's doing. Yeah, he's fantastic. And doing table read yesterday, it was like, oh, he's bringing it. It's like, all right, fuck yeah, cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah, definitely. Well, okay, so you got this thing. It's a short, and so you are going to be trying to do it here in the next year or so?
Yeah. I just moved, so just been dealing with life, and I'm gonna make it the perfect timing to get shit done. That's
part of it, right?
Yeah.
Particularly when you're freelance, is doing that. Actually, I have a question about that, about the freelance life.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're young, so it might not affect you that much. But I'm just curious: was it nervous? Did you get nervous at all diving into like this being like? You don't know where your next job is coming from. You just kind of, because film jobs, they pop up sometimes only a couple days before the shoot, right? Yeah. And sometimes they're 3 weeks down the road or 3 months down the road and you're planning for it. But there's this erratic unpredictability about it. Can you say something about that? Because I'm sure you experience that all the time.
It is very stressful. It is. It's very stressful, but I've found a way to balance it out and just trust the process.
Say more about that.
Because if I don't trust the process and trust the work that I'm doing of putting myself out there, networking with people, constantly following up and planning work, then I wouldn't do it. It would just be too stressful for me.
For sure.
Before I dove into filmmaking, I was a waiter.
Okay.
And I hated it. I hated it a lot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I never want to feel like this. I just felt like it was important to spend time doing things that I enjoyed if I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll take that stress from freelancing. I'll take that stress and turn it into motivation to find new work and continue to network with people and to.
How long have you been full-time freelance then?
2.5 to 3 years.
I said this on the last podcast, but if you're making it and paying your bills by doing something creative, like in my opinion, you've already won. Even if you're just PAing or ACing or whatever, like you've already won. You don't have to be in control of the project in order to be doing something creative that you enjoy.
For sure. And it does feel great. It does feel good because I've had months where I've only worked 4 or 5 jobs. But then I've had months where I've worked like 8 to 12, probably more in just a month. You know what I mean? Because I will work all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's enough.
Yeah, that's part of it. And you also got to freaking get enough work to be able to weather the storm, the winter. The slow months where there ain't nothing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's fighting for the same job that's not paying half of what the fucking summer jobs pay for.
Oh,
and everybody's just trying to land that fucking gig, man.
Some weird random shit.
Yeah, for sure. But there's also an advantage as if you're your own filmmaker. There's an advantage, and that is the wintertime's a great time to be shooting a feature film and getting people at a discounted rate because they ain't got shit going on.
Okay, I'm gonna note that for later.
Right, so that's what I've seen. Independent filmmakers that have made successful films for less than half of what the normal budget would be. It's because they're shooting it in the winter.
That makes sense.
Because people are like, I just want the gig, man.
Yeah.
Like I'll take the $150 a day thing if it's for 15 days just because I want the fucking gig.
Yeah, it adds up. It stacks up.
Yeah. Instead of like summertime, you're like, I only do $600 a day or some bullshit like that. That's a little bit more normal. But yeah, I saw a fantastic. I'm originally from Kansas City, and there's a fantastic film that a couple of my friends were in called The Stylist. That horror film that's done very well. They shot it for $60,000. It's like a slasher movie, but they shot it for $60,000 in like 15 days. Everybody on set, as far as I'm aware, maybe I'm going to say this because it's what I heard, and if anybody's pissed at me, blowing the whistle on this, then whatever. I'm in Vegas. You can't do anything about it. But apparently, everybody on the set, including the cinematographer, only got $150 a day. Everybody. Man. It was just like, it was just kind of openly known. That's what everyone's getting. So don't bitch. We're all fucking here to make a good movie.
Yeah. Sometimes when you put that rate to the side and are just like, all right, let's do it. You make some magic.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate about it, right? Like if you weren't passionate about filmmaking, you wouldn't take it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's also just an understanding that some gigs just aren't going to pay as much as other ones. And narrative stuff particularly. Narrative rarely is going to... not only does narrative film not make as much money as other projects, but it also doesn't pay as well as other stuff. Your commercial gigs are going to pay way more. And particularly if you're an actor and you're getting residuals and shit like that. Like my friend Davis did some McDonald's commercials. He still gets checks in the mails for it. They happened like 8 years ago.
That's sweet.
But they're still using the footage. And so they're like, if we're using the footage, he gets some money.
Man, I love how that works.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love that.
But this feature film, I think he got one. I don't know for sure. Davis, you can yell at me later if you want, but I think he did get the 150 day that everybody else is getting, and he only worked a couple days on that film. He's a supporting actor, but yeah, I mean, you have to believe that you're part of something special, and I think that's ultimately what it is. Like storytelling is something that impacts all of us.
Yeah,
it's a big part of everyone's life who's a filmmaker. So the passion's implied. I think it's kind of just normal.
Totally, and there's a couple things that come with that too, being like, hey, friends, family, you guys can check this thing out that I was a part of months ago.
Yeah,
for
sure,
I mean? Like,
for sure.
Hey, check this out.
I love it. At least for now, most of my stuff has been fairly approachable to like friends and family members and stuff like that. This movie, Horse Girl, probably only gonna hate it. That's okay. But I'm having to come into my own and saying no, we're doing this. It's gonna bother some people, but fuck it. Like I was talking to my friend Brandon Luna, who's writing another short that we've been messing around with some ideas that we want to shoot here if we shoot it, called Hobo in the Desert, but a revenge movie.
Hell yeah.
But we were talking about how a lot of movies have been holding back a lot with stuff, and people aren't doing stuff that's shocking enough. And I'm like, I think now's the time.
I love it.
I think now's the time to do that shocking stuff and shake people out of their normal.
Yeah, you gotta, if that's what you think that people need, and that creative confidence to be like, all right, you guys are missing this, I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah, identifying the need. Yes, absolutely,
yes.
Identifying the need, and honestly, this is a totally different trajectory. But
sure.
I don't know if you know who Jason Horton is.
No,
he's an indie director, but he does only his own projects, like narratives and docs, but all features, right?
I love that.
He does only his own stuff, all independently done, and he pays his own bills fucking doing it. But he said he does a lot of videos about what indie filmmakers should look out for as far as like what's to their advantage. And he says that the main market that's not being satisfied by anybody other than Tyler Perry is the black drama. Yeah, that's a market. It's a market that exists, and it's huge. People want that material, right? And Hollywood's not satisfying that need.
Yeah, I can relate to that. First feature film that I DP'd was of the same relation. The Peoples. Shout out to the Peoples who actually gave me my first opportunity to DP feature.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you shoot it on?
2 Blackmagics.
2 Blackmagic. The Pocket Cinema, like 4Ks or 6Ks or what?
Either. It was like a couple years ago. I don't know. Probably the 4Ks.
That's still a good looking camera.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hell yeah. First, you've DP'd a feature. That's more than I've done as far as DP work. That's awesome.
I also DP'd a action film too.
An action film? Yeah. Tell me about this.
Oh man, this was shot at the Huntridge Theater.
Okay.
As well as Gas Station Film Studios, which is a great spot.
I've heard about that. They have some cool locations in there that they built.
They have awesome locations. They even have that LED wall.
Okay. And VU Media's got one too.
Yeah, they have a bigger one, but they still have like a small one. But Huntridge was I felt like I was in a horror movie.
Oh, nice.
It was insane.
Huntridge, what is that?
That's the big theater. They actually just had a relighting for it. It's been like condemned for like 10, 20 years.
And you guys got to shoot inside a condemned building. How'd you get the insurance
Yeah,
for
so
that?
they just opened it into. They've been doing a lot of work on
Okay.
it, and fixing it up, and they just added it to the Nevada locations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we shot there like 3 days of that film.
Now, are you on the Nevada Film Directory? Is your name on there for people to call you and stuff like that? Is that
I don't know.
that's like with the film office?
I
You can
think-
you can pay some. I think it's like $20 a month or whatever, and your name's on a list of people they can contact.
When I started out, I was on the website, and I was like really trying to figure out if that was something I wanted to do or needed to do to get work.
For sure. Did you find it fruitful when you used it?
I didn't. Ended up not really using it for any projects that I was on. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Staff Me Up definitely has a lot of good stuff. That's for sure. I've already landed a couple gigs doing that.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So you're working NAB. I'm working NAB as well.
Hell yeah. We'll see each other.
Yeah,
there.
like maybe. They're gonna work my ass like a fucking dog on this shoot. Dude. I'm gonna be doing so much.
I know it.
It's gonna be nuts. So, who are you working with on that one?
For NAB.
For NAB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, technically, I'm subcontracting for Activate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm doing some. I signed an NDA, but I don't know if I'm allowed. I think I can say the name of the. Yeah, I'm working with it's a company that does portable LED wall studios.
Yeah, that's super sick.
Yeah. So that'll be my first time experiencing anything like that.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I'm just doing BTS, so I'm shooting footage of the guys that are shooting footage on the LED wall.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Fuck it. So I've had to buy a bunch of gear. They wanted me to rent all this stuff, and I was like, if I can get a good deal, I'll just fucking buy it.
Might as well.
Right. So I bought a gimbal, an RS2. And,
Oh, nice.
And just an expander module for my red Komodo because we needed the things, and I was like, well, I could rent it for 5 days for $80, or I could buy it for $250.
Might as well buy it.
Yeah. It's not like it's going to be the last time I fucking use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm making use of this money.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm excited about that gig. And it's going to be a hard one because I'm going to be it's a camera in my arms 10 hours a day.
They have some Ronin straps for it. Like a body one.
Oh, for the fucking gimbal?
Yeah. Like it's not like the Easy Rig. It's like you can put it on your waist and it like helps support onto your waist.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can like rest it on.
I often will set, if it's a handheld camera, I'll just set it on my belly here, right? I'm not even lying.
I've never thought about that.
Well, you probably don't have the belly to do it, but my friend, a friend of mine who also has a belly was like, well, just do it like this. And I was like, well, it's actually pretty good. Screen's right here. Just kind of hold it, pull focus. It's not too bad.
There you go.
Right?
I love that.
Right. But the gimbal, I've got the two hands and whatnot, but I'm excited. I've been messing with it just to get familiar with it and stuff. So
hell yeah.
I wanted one for a long time, but I wasn't going to freaking spend $800 on a new one. So I was like, I'll see if I can find a good deal on a used one. And I did. I got an RS2 for $300.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's an RS2
Wow.
Pro. I got the whole fucking setup for $300.
Damn it! I need to buy a new one.
Yeah,
Because
so
I have the Ronin S.
and I was gonna buy one because there's so many of those on Facebook Marketplace for like $200, and I was like, that's a pretty fucking good deal for what it is, but it can barely support the Komodo. It's like, I think it's got like a 7.5 pound threshold, and the Komodo barely rigged out is like almost 8 pounds.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it would like break the thing, and I was like, it probably would do okay, but we'd already used the RS2 on my short film Clemency Boulevard because we did all of these running scenes where he's running, and we had to have gimbal shots on that.
What camera do you use for that one?
We used the Komodo.
Sweet.
I bought it, and we that was the first thing that I ever shot.
Oh, okay.
On it. So
yeah,
it was the first movie I ever DP'd too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So
that
was. Yeah, it's learned a lot really quick. But I was surrounded by. I hired a camera crew, group of camera department that all knew what they were doing. So if there's something that I was going to do wrong, they were very quick to let me know.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
but I'd worked on enough sets that I didn't I felt pretty confident.
Oh yeah.
So
there's always some small things that.
It's usually logistical stuff. This
Okay.
is how this is done. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not that type of a thing. So, but
makes
yeah,
sense.
we had we used the RS2 and the Komodo and had it just stripped down. And Wayne Gassman, who is a cinematographer out of Kansas City, that's where I'm originally from. He was my camera operator and also kind of helped gaff and stuff like that. So he was kind of the safety net a little bit under my first DP gig. But he props to him. We have this guy who's in really good shape, our actor who's running, and he's running a bunch through the film, and Wayne's having to run with like the camera on the gimbal over his shoulder screen right here, and he's having to and you can't have the guy that's running with the gimbal can't run slower than the guy it has to look like this guy's fucking running.
Yeah.
So props to him. It was so funny. We were on set, and I was seeing him do it, and I'm thinking, I can do that, right? I'm like, let me try one. I was fucking heaving. By the time I was like, I'll let you handle that.
Those things are heavy.
They can't. I mean, they get heavy after a while, and if you're running with it, it's even worse.
And like that's a 2-man job for sure.
Yeah, no, yeah, we had a wireless with follow focus.
Sweet,
on that,
yeah.
right. So we had somebody in the truck pulling focus on the shots, but
That's a tough shot.
yeah, but just getting the framing and being able to run at that pace and do it over and over again. Props to Wayne for doing it. And no one's said it publicly yet, but Wayne, you're incredible for being able to do that shit. Yeah, for real, because it made the movie. But people look at it and they think car rig when they see the shot.
Oh, that's a props though.
They think it's on people think it's on an arm coming off a car and it's over on the sidewalk, and the car's just doing that.
Yeah.
But we did it 2 different ways. When we were tight, we were on a gimbal and Wayne's just running his ass off.
Yeah.
And on our wides, we had his van with the sliding door open, and we were just sitting.
Sweet.
So on the side, so we had those 2 angles to work with on
Yeah.
the running shots.
Oh man, I bet that was.
You get
beautiful.
crafty, you know. It's an indie way, but it looks bigger budget than it actually is, just being crafty and working your ass off.
Got to do what you got to do, right?
And you know what? I'm not opposed to it. I'll definitely fucking do some stuff with it. We actually have a shot for this short film we're doing, Skyline. With it. I'm glad we got the gimbal because we're going to need it for it. Just one your one big shot that happens in the movie, like.
Oh yeah.
So we need it to be smooth and to track in.
That's
and all
so.
of that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That'll be cool.
Gotta have it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that's like, you know, every shot's got to be a certain way. I when I'm writing and directing, my minimum is I just want it to look professional.
Yeah.
Right.
Like your coverage.
Yeah. I just want the stuff to look like a fucking movie. We don't need to get super fucking crazy about it, right? We can get creative on some shots, but on an indie production, we're not spending any fucking money. Just want it to look good and sound good and get some good performances. You know.
It's a good way to do it for sure. I've worked on this horror film where literally like every line was an angle change, and yeah, like it was
why
why
would anyone do that?
It was because it was for TikTok.
Okay.
Like TikTok audience.
Oh.
And so
see, I'm not a TikToker.
I don't use it too much, but I do know that it's like the attention span is not very high. So cutting
clearly.
Yeah. So it was intentional, but the day was long because we had to get all these different shots.
And how long was the actual short film?
20 minutes.
It was a 20-minute short film. How many days did you shoot?
6 days.
6 days,
Yeah,
20 minutes. That's a
5
lot.
Yeah. 5 days and then a pickup.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, we had a couple long days too.
Yeah, having to do that many shots. Also, are you modifying your lighting that much when you're doing moving lights around when you're switching angles?
We would mainly get
or do you just kind of light the room and then just move the camera around?
We'd light the room and get our like light it for the wide, and then we'd go and like shoot, and then if we had to, like if the angle and if we had to, we'd move lights. But mostly we'd set up for the room. We actually threw like this big light on 2 C stands.
Okay.
You know, like just had them and then kind of create like a basic grid kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just with one line though.
Yeah.
Just kind of was like, all right, this is what we need.
For sure.
Yeah.
Damn, that's wild though. 20 minutes. And who was that with?
That was with Alex. Love the Basics. This was a movie called Cupid's Revenge. And
Okay, I heard about this one. Was it Jordan Cooley?
He's the homie.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I'd seen people posting about it. I think I saw something about you being involved in it. I didn't know you're shooting it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was the DP for that. Shot it on the Tilta M Ring, Easy Rig, Zine lenses, Blackmagic camera.
Nice.
Whole
Is that what you prefer as Blackmagic? I saw that you use Sony stuff too.
Yeah. For this, that's what the director had. That's
what he wanted.
Yeah, that's what he had. For me, I want the FX3. And I've done like full events with FX6s and FX3s, and I really love the FX3.
I used the FX3 on the last job that I was on at Con Expo, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I loved it. There's a lot of features in the camera, but what it can do saves you once you get it set up properly. It can save you a shit ton of time.
Yeah,
like there's so many. Huh?
How was that for you?
I mean, I loved it. It was great. Just once you figured it out,
Yeah.
I would say one of the features that I actually really liked about it, initially I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it, was the audio settings being on auto. I didn't know if I was going to like that or not. I was a musician before I was a filmmaker, so I'm very familiar with audio. And when, of course, the belief is that you want full control of that. And then I was finding that running it on auto, I was actually getting better stuff than actually manually dialing everything in all the time, because there's unpredictable things that occur. People, are peaking, the mic's peaking or whatever, and it's able to monitor that stuff and has like a look ahead, and it's able to kind of like handle that shit. I was pretty impressed with how good the sound quality was on auto. It was funny. First day, he was like, "Oh, if you're an audio guy, you can do it manual or you can use auto." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it manual." And the first day, like the audio was like just barely starting to touch in the red, and I was like, I don't remember it doing that. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, next day I was like, I'm just gonna run on auto, and the producer was like, good idea.
Damn, that's good to know.
Yeah, with that arm that goes on the top of it.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
So it's got an auto setting and so what it does is, if it's not getting, at least this is what I'm gathering from it, because you can run 2 booms in there, and you can run 2 other channels of wireless directly into it.
Yeah.
Right. So it can run 4 channels at once.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it's great. The Komodo can too, but it's all fully manual.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyways, what it does is with the FX3, if it's not getting any information at all, it drops it down to get rid of room noise.
Oh, yes.
Right.
That makes
it has
sense.
a look ahead, so when it starts to hear something, then it brings the levels up, and it keeps them right where they need to be.
I love that.
Right. And so you're getting pretty clean audio. As long as you know how to use your mics and know how to set it up, you're getting pretty clean audio leaving it on auto mode, which was mind-blowing to me.
It's a lifesaver.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I respect audio, and I don't come from an audio background. I like to bring people that know audio to help me out with stuff like that. I've been educating myself on it.
So I'm familiar with mics and compressors and low-pass filters and all. I've known about that stuff for years.
Right.
So, I mean, running, and this is what's kind of funny, is people who are watching this podcast, and they'll be like, why are they shooting on these shitty webcams? I'm like, the audio sounds good.
The audio does sound good.
Right. I can't stand listening to a podcast and either one or both people sound like dog shit. I can't do it. I will shut it off. I will, because I'll have the podcast on in the background. I'll be cooking or whatever, and I'm like, fucking guy on Skype or on fucking Zoom. I can't do it.
And you just hear the abbreviations.
It's awful. It's all grainy and digital and shit. And I was like, I just don't want to hear this.
I hate it. Yeah, I've done like remote podcasts before as well, or like helped people do that, and it's just like, bro, like, it's not good.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
good.
people might not know this, but even though we're live streaming right now, I am recording a separate audio tracks at the same time, and I will do a full mix of this before it goes on YouTube tomorrow.
Oh, sick.
So so when we do a long fucking podcast, 3-hour podcast, I will mix that whole fucking thing before there. So I was talking to Brandon about it today, but people don't even realize that's what's going into it. The live stream is decent enough for people to listen to, but I want to warm the mics up a little bit, want the levels to be the same. All of that.
You want to give it that post-production crisp.
Yeah. I want it to sound good. I don't want people to fucking, listen to it and be like, what the fuck? Because most podcast people aren't actually looking at most of the time. They're listening to it most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. So. Yeah. It ends up just being what people listen to, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's a fucking radio talk show. It's Howard Stern bullshit. That's what it is. Everyone's trying to be Howard Stern.
Shout out Beetlejuice.
Yeah. So, oh, man. So, all right, well, tell me some more about some other things that you've done. You've worked on some bigger sets. You said you worked on some stuff with Asylum. You're not the first person I've had on the podcast that's worked with them.
Oh,
Kane
sweet.
Blust, who was my first guest on the podcast. He's an editor for them.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. That's hilarious. The 7th episode, we got 2 guys that have worked on Asylum films.
I love that. They were fun to work with. The director, Michael Sue, I think that's how we say his name. Literally, everybody that was on the crew was doing it for the love and because they love working with the director and they wanted to work with him.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I was like, this is really cool. And funny thing is, like, so I had actually helped my girlfriend who's an actress as well. I helped her read lines for this part.
Sure.
This was like 2-3 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
And so I was friends with the line producer who was casting and everything like that. So I was pretty familiar with the film at that point. She ended up not getting the role, but I was familiar with the movie. Okay. And then I see her as I'm actually acting in a music video. I'm acting in a music video outside waiting for us to roll. And I'm like looking on Facebook and I see Eva posting about needing a PA. I'm like, oh, let me follow up with her. And I got the job like while I'm on set.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
And we
get those staff me up notifications. I have it set to where I'm apply for that right now. Oh yeah. All the time.
Got to.
Yeah, yeah.
We filmed at this place called 41 Mojave.
Not familiar.
It used to be like a meat packing place. It's building from the 60s, but they currently have like sound stages. They have multiple sound stages.
Here in town?
Yes. They have exteriors, they have interiors.
Is Asylum shooting a lot of stuff like that here in Vegas, or was it just this one production?
I think just this one production. The other stuff looked like it might be more in like the Midwest, like more nature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
there, I mean, as far as like studio stuff, have they shot a lot of stuff in Vegas, or is it just this one?
I think that was just the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty rundown place, but they tried to make it into a film studio, and I would love to see more people use it, but it's pretty rundown.
It's pretty rundown?
Yeah,
okay. I don't know. I'm all about just seeing what's available. I'm amazed at how many sound stages or just production studios there are in town already.
Yeah.
And I suspected that was the case when I first decided to move down here. I was like, I think there's a lot more of this stuff in Vegas than there is in Kansas City.
Probably.
Yeah. And now I posted something about it on Facebook, and a cinematographer that I worked with, Lucas Cohen, commented, and he was like, VU Media has a full video wall thing. You're totally right. Like that's a good move. There's a lot of stuff that's happening, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So
VU are great people to work with as well. I was able to work at their location one day.
Have you DP'd anything on their video wall yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, dying to.
How big is that fucking thing?
There's like 3.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah, there's like 3 stages.
How tall is the video wall?
Man,
are we talking like 15, 20 feet?
Yeah, like a 2-story, and then there's a ceiling video wall too.
Oh, okay.
Where you can we were doing.
So you can do full volume stuff is what they're trying to do.
So there's like a half dome, and then there was a 2-story wall, and then like the ceiling.
That's cool.
It was really useful. I'll tell you that on Sympathy for the Devil, which is a Nick Cage film.
Yeah.
They did the car scenes at VU.
Okay.
And so they had the car in the middle. They had this glowing teal orb on the top, and that the DP asked for. Okay. And so the engineer was like, okay, here's a 3-foot orb, and it's gonna flash, and go in and out.
Yeah.
And they just used that to reflect off the car.
To simulate movement?
To simulate, that's just what they needed. They already had the video of the lights going up on the screen, but they just needed that extra teal kick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was really interesting.
Sympathy for the Devil. So what did you do on that?
So the first 3 days, I worked on the last week of the film. Okay. I was a locations PA, just helping with general shit for the locations, trash, whatever. But then on the last day, they were at VU, and they needed an extra electrician. Okay. And I was like, hell yeah. Okay, so cool. I ended up rigging the tube lights onto the cars for the scenes.
That's cool.
And then helping out with other
Were you even in the remote vicinity of Nicolas Cage?
Oh,
at
yeah.
all?
Oh, yeah, totally.
What was that like working in the same space? I mean, I'm sure you weren't shaking hands with them or whatever. Maybe you were. I don't know.
I shook hands with Joel Kinnaman.
Okay. All right.
Which is, he's awesome in Altered Carbon. He was really cool.
All right. Very cool.
He was really awesome. Very nice guy. And then I don't know if I got to interact with Nick. I can't
What was it
remember.
like watching him work though?
Dude, intense.
Really?
Like so intense. Like the scenes that he was doing were so amazing, and he just had this character that he brought to it.
He does. I mean, he's got that. I didn't understand it for the longest time, but there is now. I mean, I think when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so that was when Nick Cage really kind of hit the scene, right? You know, Gone in 60 Seconds and all that type of shit.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of the characters did like Face Off and stuff like that. He's like really intense, like really big and wild. And then eventually people are gonna be like, "Oh, I love Nicolas Cage because he's always so fucking weird, and he just kind of goes for it and does the craziest shit." And I was like, "What are you talking?" I was like, "I guess he does." And I was like, "Holy shit! Like, there's this cult following of Nick Cage being Nick Cage, doing the shit that he fucking does."
Yeah.
To the degree now there's a fucking movie about Nick Cage being like that, which
Yeah.
is fucking funny.
I love it.
Yeah, it was
I love
great. It was a great film.
I didn't get to see that yet.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Great fucking film. But I thought it was hilarious that it was like, let's just have Nick Cage be more Nick Cage in his own fucking movie as Nick Cage.
And just just let him do it.
It was so wild, man. I mean, that's clearly an exaggerated version of who he is with some, terrible parenting skills and alcohol problems and whatnot, right? Because he's gotta have his fucking, who knows what his real Achilles heel is, but he's got to have something in order to be that character. But he played into it, man. It's fucking wild.
Oh man, I need to see that now.
Yeah, but you've seen him in actual action, like doing shit.
Yeah, and he I just remember, this doesn't give anything away, but I just remember, just this take, and he just lets out this this screech, this yell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, that's Nick Cage, dude. I was like, yeah.
Sounds so ridiculous, but I'm sure of it.
It was in character though.
Yeah. I wonder how much weird stuff he does that doesn't actually work for the scene, but he just does it anyway, just to fucking go for it. Does he experiment a lot?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would totally. Just from what I experienced, he experiments.
Like every take, was he doing something different?
We were kind of on the roll.
Okay.
So we were moving.
Just trying to knock shit out?
Yeah.
I mean, that's typical.
This was the last day.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
At least for that. But yeah.
For sure.
Like, all right. Yeah, and we were shooting overnights in the desert.
Oh, nice.
So it was nice. It was super nice, but it was just like, all right, let's get going.
Let's get this done. I'm sure.
Because once that sun comes up, we're done.
Oh, it's over, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking over.
Yeah.
Man, and he lives here in town. He lives in Vegas.
I got to meet his son and walk him to set.
No shit.
From
That's funny.
Parking to onto set. I was like, there's Nick. So.
I wonder how much of the film being shot in Vegas was just because Nick was like, I live here and the stuff's available. Can we just do it here?
Well, there was one caveat to this one in particular, is that I'm pretty sure this is already out there, but he was having a baby.
Oh.
And he did not want to miss that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So he was like, I'll do it, but it's got to be done here. And so the whole production, we did it in Vegas.
The whole movie, Sympathy for the Devil.
The whole movie.
That's fucking great,
Yep.
man. And now Mark Wahlberg, who also lives here, is trying to make this the new Hollywood. He thinks he can do that,
How exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting, but at the same time, if you're an indie guy, for me, it looks like it's exciting if you're able to get those fucking gigs. But if you're primarily trying to make your own movies as an indie, I tend to see it a little bit as a black cloud, a little bit.
Why so?
Because once Vegas becomes, maybe I'm wrong on this, but
Sure.
I said this to a lot of people. I totally, as an independent filmmaker, see Las Vegas as being a massive resource for indie filmmakers. Given the fact that you only need permits to shoot on the Strip, you don't really need permits to shoot anywhere else. In Los Angeles, you need permits to shoot in your own fucking house.
Yeah.
So as far as an indie filmmaker goes, and the kind of locations that you can get access to without a permit for free, it's a huge resource for an indie filmmaker. Once Vegas becomes discovered as a hub of film, you'll need a permit to wipe your own ass.
Right, because then they're going to be like, okay,
they'll want to monetize.
Budgets, you're going to pay because you can afford it.
Yeah. And they're going to want to monetize everything, and that has the tendency to squeeze out the little guy.
Yeah.
So good for people that are filmmakers who want to work on bigger sets, definitely better for everybody that way, and you get a better check and whatnot. But if you're trying to produce your own film, like what Desert Fiends is being done right now, like that wouldn't really be as possible. Right. And what the Mahal brothers are doing right now might not be as possible.
Yeah. Are they not, you think,
I mean, as far as looking at their GoFundMes, I don't think that their budgets are big enough. I mean, maybe, but I mean, they're definitely benefiting from the freedoms that they have to be able to shoot pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have all the normal shit, the insurance and all that type of shit. But when you have permission to shoot in someone's home, you can have a private contract with them, and you don't have to freaking get the government involved.
Yeah, totally.
That makes a lot of shit possible.
Oh yeah, totally. I think you do have a good point that the more Cali comes to Vegas, it might be an issue.
I think that's probably a 10-year stretch. If Vegas is going to be the new like Hollywood, which I think it totally could be, probably 10 years down the line before that really fucking clinches.
The studios will pay for us to be locking down the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
for sure.
that's what I want to be at in 10 years.
Yeah.
They can pay for us to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know, but just seeing the resources that are available now, and also Vegas people are generally pretty friendly too, and there's other places where it's a bit of a pain in the ass to make a movie, and not just legally, but maybe the people aren't as willing to offer their space or their time or whatever. Those are all resources. That's how I see it, and so those are all influenced my move coming down here.
Yeah, it's like what you were saying is like, film to what you have available to you.
Yeah.
If you have a house available to you, then you kind of base it around that. The gas station studios, I believe, has made availability of studio need. Like they've done it. They have
some cool looking rooms they built.
They have really cool, different, unique rooms. I actually just saw a Future used their new Trap House set.
Oh, cool!
In a new music video.
Oh, nice!
I was super excited about that.
That's cool
to see that they were there.
That's fucking cool. Yeah.
So they're filling in that need for what we need here.
And those are lower budget things. They don't have to be big budget stuff. As far as renting out a day, it's not super outrageous over there. As far as what I'm getting, depending on the room.
Yeah.
But I think I looked at some of the rates and I was like, that's not that bad.
It's not. It's super reasonable.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like right now it seems like there's room for different levels of productions. There's a lot of room for all of that. Room for growth, but if you want to keep it lean, you can.
Yeah. The film I just second assistant directed for, we shut down just a block over from the arts district. And so, that was doable.
We're actually looking at one of those locations, and it doesn't look like anybody's really going to be in our way. It's like 2-3 blocks away from the arts district, but it's a great fucking location.
Yeah. Are you gonna grill it, or are you gonna get a permit?
I mean, I don't think that we'd actually need a permit. We're going to talk to people that own the property.
Yeah.
Right, but as far as film permit, I don't believe that we actually need one in that area.
For sure.
But I'm trying to get a hold of the guys that own the 2 buildings that are in this alleyway and just be like, hey, like, what you want a few bucks and we'll shoot this thing.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's people, particularly if it's a property somebody owns and they're not particularly using.
You're not shooting on the street.
No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No. There's an alleyway, which was probably technically public property.
Yeah.
And then there are these 2 buildings that have an alley between the 2 of them that I believe is private.
Oh, nice. That's great. That's great.
So yeah, but it's got graffiti everywhere and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to get a hold of the guys, but they're never fucking there. So
good luck.
Yeah.
That's a whole job in itself.
It is. Well, okay, so what locations have you shot at? And this could be a good help for other indie filmmakers here in town. What locations have you shot at that you haven't had a whole lot of trouble utilizing?
Oh man. So like, what do you mean by that? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I think as far as production value, what locations do I have available to me that don't really cost me any money that have turned out well for me?
Yeah. So I would say, I've shot at a couple gyms,
Okay.
like a gym.
Yeah.
That actually, the production value of that made my shoot look crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that the one that you're shooting guy boxing or whatever? Is that
Yeah,
what that was?
yeah.
You sent me a video about something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that definitely helps production value. That's for sure.
Yeah. That one was great.
How'd you get access to that? Do you mind if I ask?
So I had done a fitness shoot for Sydney Wilson, who is a great guy. But we had done a shoot there, actually with Carlos Takem, who's a fighter.
Okay.
Yeah, so did a shoot with him for a apparel spot. And I was like, I came up with this pitch of, I came up with this whole like pitch idea for the music video, and I was like, we need to do it at a gym. So I asked Sydney if he could kind of connect me with Movement Fitness. That's where I shot it at.
Okay.
Movement Fitness.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great spot. They're cool with people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did they charge you any location fee or anything like that?
Nothing.
No, they just offered this probably when they weren't open or something like that. I'm assuming.
I was there early.
Yeah.
Early. Another spot, actually, to add to your question, there's this Record Street right across from Ferguson's. That's the one with the truck, right?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Record Street right across from there that it was like $50 an hour to film.
In a record store, you mean?
Yeah, record store. Yeah.
It's $50 an hour. You got to shoot in the record store. We always have one every podcast. You always have a fucking motorcycle that goes by or something like that every time. That's cool. Yeah, I've actually been wondering about that. There's some. I got connected with a record store here in town called Primitive Recordings, who is run by Roger Beaujard. He's the guitarist in a legendary death metal band called Mortician.
Oh, sick.
We ended up using one of his songs from his other band, Prosthetic Cunt, in my newest short film, Shoegazer.
Gnarly.
Yeah, it's dope. It was a great relationship to develop. And when I was telling him about Horse Girl and how one of the characters works at a record store, I was like, "Yeah, we need a record store location." I guess you're shooting it here.
Love that. Thank you for making it easy, right?
Dude. But it was with the short film that we did, Shoegazer. Like we were kind of scratching each other's backs a little bit. Like, let me promote your band, right? Because it's a smaller band, right?
Okay.
It's not. Mortician's huge, but Prosthetic Cunt doesn't get a whole lot of attention, right?
Okay.
Right? It's just his solo project of grindcore stuff, and it's awesome. And I was like, well, let me promote your thing, and then you can promote my thing, and we can help each other out.
Hell yeah.
You know, and
that's a great way to do it.
He was super great about it, and the song that we used, is called Puny Earthlings, was perfect for it. It was everything that I needed. Just like the most brutal of brutal death metal you could ever fucking think of.
Oh man,
it was just perfect for the credits. I was like, that's what I want. And so once I got the song, he was just super helpful, and he's a great fucking dude. Really like that guy. But that's a resource. Like, and I got to know him just because I went in there for wardrobe stuff. I was like, I got to buy a death metal T-shirt for this fucking character.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing today. Actually,
yeah. And then he was like, oh, I'm from Mortician. And I was like, holy shit, like, let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
You know,
those things are metal music videos are demented.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a short film, but it was like, but we needed this, like, I mean, the character talks about listening to a lot of death metal. He's going to be wearing a Mortician shirt. Like, it was just like all that stuff was part of the character, you know. So we needed some heavy fucking death metal in the credits.
I love that.
You know, so it was wonderful that I've only been here a little over 3 months, and that was in February when he decided that he was cool with. I'd only been here like a month and a half.
Welcome to Vegas, by the way.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It's super important to just like you got here and you're just like, all right, making these connections. And
that's part of the podcast. It is to promote you guys, but it's also for me to get to know everybody that's here in town.
Yeah,
that's doing stuff. Like, it's a great way to just see, like, oh, do we vibe together? Do we want to fucking work together?
Right.
You know, that's totally, you know, I benefit from it too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. You know, I mean, all the work that I've gotten since I've been here has all been from out of town clients. Nothing local. They've all been, you know, I mean, I just pitched, just did some estimates for some commercials for a bigger website, but it's not even here in town, you know. So, but they're like, oh, you're in Vegas and you have the resources to do it. Do you want to just shoot it there? And I was like, yeah, this is what it would cost if we did that.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Yeah. So, but I'm looking to get more connected with the local scene and who's doing indie stuff and who's doing big production stuff and all of that. That's definitely like part of the podcast for me.
Yeah.
You know, is to get to know everybody here, because while I'm getting jobs from people from out of town, I want to work with people locally.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to travel.
Yeah, yeah.
All the time.
I mean, luckily, all of those are people that are traveling here for conventions and stuff like that, or this other company. They're just like, well, you have the resources. You just film it there. They're in Kansas City, so, but the company they're working for is somewhere else. So, the producers, whatnot.
Yeah, man. Doing that, just bringing it in, you know what I mean? Bringing it here to Vegas is great.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's been cool. It's definitely been a challenge moving somewhere totally brand new, but that was what I was like, fuck it, we're diving in, we're gonna make some fucking short films immediately so I can get connected with some fucking people.
Dude, when like I'm pretty sure I saw you post on Facebook, initially that's how I found out about you, that you were here in Vegas. And then instantly I was like, I saw you work with Jay Bostic. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
I saw you guys do that desert shoot, and then you worked with Lance Hopper.
Yeah, Lance.
He's a homie too.
Oh, he's one of your homies too? Very cool. Yeah. Very cool.
So I was like, he is getting it in. So I really respected that. You know what I mean?
I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, my approach has been different from yours. My approach was to start filmmaking by telling my own stories, right? And then I got involved in production and making other people's stuff happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just decided I'd rather do that than work some fucking day job. I've got the skills to do it. Let me shoot your commercial. Let me shoot your music video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I enjoy that a lot more than fucking working at a cigar shop like I was before.
Yeah.
And I had a whole career before that as a social worker for like a decade.
Okay.
So, which doesn't pay dick. So
I didn't know that.
It doesn't. I mean, rewarding work, but it doesn't pay very much. But yeah. But coming down here is just like, well, my experience is telling my own story. So, and I hadn't gotten any gigs yet. So I was like, all right, fuck it. Of course, I came here January, February. It's like it's only a handful of gigs every fucking month that are like popping up on Staff Me Up.
Yeah.
Kind of scraps. But so I was like, fuck it, we'll just shoot our own thing. So that's a good way for me to network and get to know people and hire people and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and yeah, we have the desert. So like, it looks like a fucking planet. So like a desert planet. So.
It does. It does. And you can have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
It's a really cool tool here in Vegas. Is like, you can go an hour away to Mount Charleston, and it looks different.
Yeah, I want to check out check out Mount Charleston. Have you shot have you shot anything that's like, I guess I don't know what the rules are regarding shooting stuff on like national parks. Do you know anything about that?
I've heard some look professional.
Don't make it look professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if you're doing a national park shoot, right? Like probably no sticks on the ground.
No shit.
Yeah, probably the best idea.
Now, we were at the dry lake bed in Jean,
Sick.
and no one bothered us at all.
Yeah, that's kind of different.
Okay, so that is different then. Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like it was a particularly national park, but I don't know what the rules were regarding the fucking property. But I asked other cinematographers, and they said, dude, you're fine. Like, no one ever really bugs us down there. I was like, okay.
Hell yeah.
So
the dry lake bed is a great spot. There's actually lots of photographers that shoot there. I would just say more along the lines of it's not Red Rock, it's another lava spot.
Is that what those mountains are? They're all fucking lava? Is that what you said?
No, it's
lava. What does that mean?
There's like another Red Rock spot. I just can't remember.
I love going out to Red Rock, going hiking.
Yeah.
It's fucking gorgeous out there. But I don't know what the rules are with filming stuff.
I would just say if you know that there's like a patrol on, other than Red Rock, if you know that there's like a patrol going, probably they'll bother you.
Gotcha.
But other than that,
I had heard
they were
something
cool at
from
Red Rock.
I had heard somebody say something that like, oh yeah, you can film here. I'd heard somebody say something about that. I was like, really, at Red Rock? Because it's a national park, so I figured that the restrictions were tighter.
Yeah, we weren't directly inside the park. We were outside of the park.
There's a lot. There is a lot of property that looks very similar that's outside of the actual boundaries of it.
Yeah, you can kind of get away with.
I saw a really cool parking lot as you're coming out of Red Rock. It's just I don't know. It didn't look that like special, I guess, but it's like wooden fenced parking lot that was big, and you could see the mountains in the background. Like that'd be a great location just to shoot conversation or a gunfight or something. Great little spot to do.
Hell yeah! From Summerlin or the Blue Diamond?
I was at Red Rock, so that loop that you have to pay like $2 to get in. When you're coming out of that, there's a parking lot that has has this like rustic looking wooden fence.
Hell yeah.
But it didn't have anything. There was nothing there.
Yeah.
No cars there, no nothing. I was like, with the mountains in the background and shit. Like, I mean, I'm sure you think of this way too as a cinematographer. Like anything with good depth, that's a great shot.
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
That's my friend, my mentor Steve Zioli says. He says sets are not wide, they're deep.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. They are deep.
Yeah. So when you've got nice depth with the mountains in the background and all of that, that's great.
Man,
I
it
love
is.
that shit.
I was able to get like a panoramic shot on this short film that I'm editing, and it was literally like she gets up to this peak, and she like does a 360, and it's just like the mountains are all around her. It's
It's so perfect.
It's a pretty shot.
That's great.
It's super.
I mean,
nice.
that's kind of what's geographically interesting about Vegas is we're kind of surrounded by mountains. Like it's all flat, but then there's just a ring of mountains around Vegas.
Yes,
It's
yes.
wild. It's
I
crazy.
was just up to the north side not too long ago, and it was just like I just forgot about all of the jets that are in the air all the time.
Oh, in the north side. Okay,
Yeah.
because of the Air Force Base?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, too.
It is kind of cool, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're in America. Like we got.
I mean, even if you had a shot where like you wanted the fucking Air Force Base in the background or whatever, like you're not shooting on their property, but it's in the background, that'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah. There's I'm on a couple of the Facebook groups, and when they were doing like the jet shows and stuff like that, you will see plenty of photographers post their shots from of the Air Force Base, and they're like super nice crisp shots of the jets and stuff. It's
That's
super
tight.
nice.
I follow a bunch of different Instagram pages that show like all sorts of like Vegas shooters and different types of photography stuff and gorgeous stuff. I actually found a spot not too far from here whenever I'm driving north on is it Mountain Springs Road or something like that.
Spring Mountain?
Spring Mountain. It's not too far from here. There's a road and you just keep taking it north, and then what happens is the road just goes down in between these two kind of leveled out gravel lots, and when you're in a car you wouldn't fucking notice it, but if you go up on those different lots you can see the whole fucking strip there.
Yeah, are you
Right?
talking like towards the Hoover Dam?
No, it's I honestly I can't explain it without the fucking
For
name
sure.
of the place. But anyways, I just kind of went over and just kind of snooped around just because for the sake, whenever I see something like that, I want to see what this would look like, in a shot or whatever. And you can see the whole freaking strip because essentially the entire town, you're up so high up, the entire town's just in a valley. So, and the strip's far away, but just something like that is, it just adds to your production value and adds to your storytelling. If the thing takes place in Vegas,
It doesn't have to be close.
no, but if you're just trying to like, if your story takes place in Vegas and you're just trying to say that that's what's happening and give some kind of context, and then you have a conversation, these two people talking in the middle of a fucking gravel lot, and you can see the fucking strip in the background. It just adds to the shot. And Shoegazer that's the exact same thing that we did. We found a empty lot that was owned by the casinos that nobody was using, that was fenced off, and it was like, we can just get the strip in the background, put him right here, and just like he's talking in an empty lot, and that's what he's fucking doing.
Yeah.
Immediate production value, and it's part of the story because he's talking about living in Vegas.
Yeah. It's that juxtaposition of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to fucking go to the strip in order to like. No, and he's talking about being on the strip and hanging out in the bars and partying and stuff like that. He's talking about that, and you got the strip in the background. You don't have to be there for you to be able to envision it because you're seeing the strip in the background. It's part of the shot.
Yeah, it's that visual storytelling. You're like, all right, I'm gonna give it to you like this.
Yeah. It's really, but it was simple, but it was enough.
Yeah.
It was enough to kind of complete the context of the story.
Knowing just enough of what you got to do makes it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think just things like that. I think also like being able to play into the rest of. I don't know if you grew up here or not. Did you grow up here?
I've been here for 6 years.
6 years. Where are you originally from?
I was born in Anaheim.
Okay.
But I've lived, East Coast,
All over the place.
North. Yeah.
The country at large has a perception of what Vegas is, and you can really lean into that for the sake of making a marketable movie.
You totally can.
Like this film that we're doing, Skyline, there's a whole backstory of this organized crime ring that's happening in Vegas doesn't even fucking exist, right? But we created it for the story, and it will play well to the nation at large about how they understand Vegas.
Oh yeah. Oh
Because
yeah.
they want to see a Vegas that has this organized crime ring going on, stuff like that. Yeah, that even if it's modernized, it harks back to the yesteryear of how Vegas started.
It's that fan fiction.
Yeah, and you can play into that, and that's kind of what we're doing with the short film.
I like that.
Yeah, so locals might not think about it that way, but play into what everyone else fucking thinks about this fucking town.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I used to feel like when I started writing here, I was like, man, I feel like this desert, I don't have too many options to like get creative with. But then I was like, all right, let's just use it. Like I didn't want to create here at first. I didn't want to, but then more and more I was like, all right, no, I want to use it.
Yeah, I think you can, and I think like Horse Girl didn't originally take place in Vegas, but
Right.
I got to lean into that now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most of the stuff happens in pretty ubiquitous locations, in someone's house or in their apartment or whatever, in a diner. You know what I mean? Like, a horse ranch is part of it, right? So, luckily there are those here, so we can utilize that. But I think when I do the rewrite, I'm gonna weave some Vegas stuff into that, just to flesh out the world and be like, what's this crazy fucked up shit happening in Vegas? Just lean into that a little bit, and all it will do is just help the story and help the production value.
Absolutely. It's, you're weaving it into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of just like, nobody's going to watch it and be like, oh, that's just another city. That's like the Midwestern city, whatever.
Yeah. It's amazing how that is the quintessential thing, is the Midwestern city is what everybody tries to fucking do, which is where I'm from.
I know it, right?
So I didn't really think about it then. Now that I don't live in a Midwestern city, you realize how different it looks out here.
Yeah. And, people are going to see it,
Mm-hmm.
It's got its way of looking like other cities, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also a very unique city as well. Just the neighborhoods are just
The
nice.
architecture alone is definitely unique.
Yeah.
It has that neo-Spanish architecture. A lot of stuff's got the clay tiles on the top of the house. Has that type of a look.
Yeah, it makes me feel like Cali sometimes too.
Does
be
Cali
honest.
look? I honestly have never been out there, so does it look pretty similar? I feel like it's a little more diverse.
A little bit more diverse, but the cookie cutter neighborhoods that they're starting to come out with are
We
definitely
have plenty of those out here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is these cookie cutters are taken from like military housing in Cali at least. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. That was one thing that I did find interesting about Vegas when I first got here. I didn't expect it at the time, but how there's a lot of strip malls and a lot of apartment complexes, and they all kind of have a similar look to them.
Yeah.
A large portion of Vegas is that, and that's not me trying to shit on it. That was just something that you don't, if you've never lived there, you wouldn't expect that.
When I watched Cops back in probably like 2010, I saw an episode of Cops here in Vegas, and I was like, Vegas is just a strip, right? I didn't know.
That's what everyone wants to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what brings the money in.
It's
That's what brings everybody visiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you come here and you realize, okay, there's people that work for all of these hotels, and then there's,
I think it's
whole
not just the strip and the people that work there, but like the amount of I don't know if you see it this way. I'm kind of punk rock, so I tend to see things this way. But how many businesses are corporately run chains, restaurants or coffee shops or whatever. People have to fill those roles and work those fucking jobs. Right. And if that's the case, if you have a lot of that in Vegas, that means the housing has to be relatively affordable for those people to be able to afford to live here and work the coffee shop job. Right. And so that means that you're going to have a lot of apartment complexes like this one.
Yeah, totally.
But no one thinks that way. Everyone thinks, Aria and Caesar's Palace,
And only nicer, like expensive things. You know what I mean?
And there's
Where it's
plenty
just,
of that, but they are in their own regions.
like Anthem.
Yeah,
Have you seen
yeah.
Anthem?
No, I haven't seen Anthem.
Anthem's the whole like very uppity part. Like you think Summerlin's nice?
I mean, I think Summerlin's all right, but mind you, in Kansas City, really segregated town, so the rich neighborhoods are really rich.
And that's what I'm saying is I didn't know Anthem existed until like probably a year ago when I went, but I didn't know anything like that was here.
I mean, I'll say before I moved here, my old boss, because I was working in the cigar industry as well, so I'd come down here for the Cigar Expo every year.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my old boss, who owned the cigar shop that I worked for, he's multi-millionaire and has a condo on the Strip and has a mansion up in the hills. So,
Damn.
so I got to go to his nice house and see what it was, and it was just like it's a very different style of house, but it's gorgeous, and the whole neighborhood was like that. I'm pretty sure it's the same neighborhood where a lot of the celebrities actually live. But yeah, it's like pool, everything overlooking. You can see the Strip off in the distance and stuff because he's up on a hill. So
Big ass kitchen.
yeah, it was, lofted. The ceilings are 20 feet high. It was fucking crazy, and also but there was a whole hangout spot on the fucking roof of the place that had a bridge that went to another rentable unit that he just owned. It was like a townhouse thing that was attached to it with a bridge.
That's some moolah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, just, I still hadn't experienced just like the normal type of living that someone like myself would have in this. I live in fucking Henderson, in the fucking suburbs,
Yeah, yeah.
But I like it. I mean, I like the neighborhood that I'm in. It's safe and quiet, and I have a pool, and I love my apartment. It's
Oh yeah,
comfortable.
super dope area.
Yeah, yeah. But these types of apartment complexes, because they have to facilitate housing for all the middle class folks,
Right.
there's a lot of it here.
Yeah, definitely is, and it's going up. It's going up, and
Apparently, it's gone up rent's gone up like $400 a month in the past 4 years or some shit like that. It's gone up a lot.
yeah. It used to be like, for instance, 4 or 5 years ago, Blue Diamond in Durango, right at the entrance of the Red Rock Loop thing, you could get a 3-bedroom house for a 4-bedroom house for a family for $1,300 a month.
$1,300 a month.
Yes, and this was 4 or 5 years ago.
It's going to drop, though. The housing market's going to fucking crash. Everything's going to go down. It's going to happen. They've bloated it too much again. So you talk to anybody in town who's trying to buy a house, they're all like, I ain't buying now because it's going to drop. And they know it will.
And it's going to, because enough people are holding out.
Yeah, absolutely. And totally will. So that's wild. Kansas City was the same way. Once the interesting, more artsy, historical areas became popular, the rent went up in those places, while the rent in the safer suburban neighborhoods just stayed where it was at. So your downtown areas where it's super dangerous were the same price as your safe suburb areas.
Right. That's a great
Which
idea.
was so fucking weird, man. It was like, and before I moved here, I was looking out, I was like, I might just fucking move to the fucking suburbs because now it costs the same. It's safer, and when you're a filmmaker and you have all the fucking gear and shit like that, you don't want to live in the fucking place where you might get robbed or whatever.
No, there's some sketchy areas for sure. And, Vegas is very weird because there's pockets of very nice spaces, and then right across the street is very different.
Yeah, there is, but I will say crime rate as a whole is way lower than Kansas City than it is here.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes, that's why we're here.
Oh my God. So me and my girlfriend are walking to Mexican restaurant to go eat.
Yeah.
Okay. It's across the street. So we're walking by the Target, and this car pulls up next to us, and this dude is like, hey, he's got this duffel bag over his lap too. And so he's like, hey, would you and your girl like to go make some money and return this item to Target for us? I'm like, I'm cool on that.
Was a bomb or something?
I make legit money. I'm cool on that.
Yeah. My God.
Any amount he could have offered me would not have been worth it.
Yeah, not at all. That's a different type of crime. That's I don't know what the fuck this dude's doing. He's going to try to bomb Target. What the fuck is this? A
bomb. Maybe there's technology in the bag.
Who knows?
I didn't want any part of it, but I know that the money that I make is legit.
Yeah.
I did not need that.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, it's not fucking worth it. But I guess what I'm saying is the statistically the crime rate is way lower in Vegas than it is a lot of other places. Which is surprising. I think people would expect, given it being this city of vices, that there'd be a higher crime rate.
Yeah. There's definitely some shit that happens, but it's not as bad.
It's not like Kansas
spaces.
City is outrageous, and St. Louis.
Right.
Those areas just oh fuck.
Yeah.
It just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
You know, it's too bad because the towns are developing, but the crime rate just goes up with the property value.
Yeah. It's a great
Which makes
combo,
no
right?
makes no sense. The neighborhood's more dangerous, but it costs twice as much as well. Like,
I mean, guns cost as much too.
yeah, I guess. I guess. Fuck, man. So, man, okay. So, I don't know. We got trailing off on talking about crime and real estate and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I was curious if you had any other, because this kept popping in my head a couple more times while we were talking, but other locations that you found have been like good places to shoot in town. You said you did this thing at the gym.
Um.
Or is it just, I mean, have you found, maybe I'll ask you this way. Have you found that privately owned businesses, people are pretty friendly to filmmakers in town?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are super. If you tell them that it's like a student film, or if you tell them that like your budget isn't crazy, maybe you do have a good budget and you can pay for it. But ideally, you know, they're pretty nice and they let you use the space if it works for them, or they'll give you like a reasonable rate.
That's cool.
For hours.
What
or for the day.
Well, you've worked on a lot of. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say that there was this one location Canine found actually. It was an office space, and
I need one of those actually for a commercial.
It was very, very nice, and it looked really, really nice. We used it for a short film. They had a very big desk table that we used, and then we also used an office space.
Nice.
The view was like of the strip. It was
Oh,
pretty dope.
wow.
We didn't. I don't know how much of that we used. We kind of were, you know, had some blinds down, but
Sure.
it was a cool spot.
Yeah.
But yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna ask, since you've worked on a lot of other bigger shoots and stuff like that, do you have any idea of what places do charge for locations? That'd be another good thing that people might want to know about if they're trying to shoot stuff independently here. Do you have any idea what places charge for stuff?
Yeah. So I would say, you know, $50 to $40 an hour minimum is kind of like what you would look at.
Okay.
At least that's like for the record spot that we used.
Okay.
We kind of went over.
I've seen
some
like
money.
Abby Ray charges like $60 an hour for her studio if you want to shoot something in there or whatever, or if you just want to read.
60 an hour is like the best price you're gonna get for like a studio, like that. Like that's
still
like
not
the
bad
minimum.
though.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get a studio space for fucking $60 an hour, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's great. There's one more. There's a couple that I know about. But other than that, you're looking at like $75, $80 an hour to like $200 an hour sometimes.
Gotcha.
Like Redwall.
Redwall, what is that?
Redwall's pretty cool.
Somebody just followed me on Instagram that works there. No, I can't remember what it was. Anyways, but yeah, I saw something about it. Never even heard about it. What is that?
Yeah, Redwall is not actually Redwall. They're just they have like a really dope lighting cube setup on the top that's rigged up, and then they have like this garage section that they have like these lights stripped down.
Okay.
And a couple other sets as well.
I saw some weird sci-fi looking lights and shit that they had set up.
Yeah, it's pretty
Kind
different.
of cyberpunk looking type shit.
Black Box Studios is amazing, by the way, too.
I've heard about that one as well.
They're awesome. I just worked right with the owner of the studio. I was acting in the music video that they shot.
Yeah, you were abducted or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's
I was
cool.
abducted.
Have you done any acting besides that?
Yeah, I was also acting in a music video, another music video, for an artist. He was not huge, but I was the lead character in that one. And so that was a lot of fun. I've done a speaking role as well. That was like the first set I was on. They needed an actor, didn't show up, and I was like, I'll do it.
You seem to be this type of guy that's like, oh, if somebody's not able to do it, like you're like the first one to volunteer. Is that you?
That's me, man.
That's great. No, I think that's good. A lot of people will be like,
hungry.
I think that's great. I think a lot of people normally when someone doesn't show up, people are like, someone gonna say something? That seems to be the response usually. People don't seem to be like, I'll fucking do it. I've been actually looking into doing more acting. I definitely will on occasion if we're really not close to what I'm trying to do, trying to get the performance. Or I will sometimes give a line reading or act it out for somebody to some degree. And then I did some stuff. I did something at Abby Ray's Actors Corner a couple months ago, and finally actually read Shoegazer, the short film. I just did the whole thing in front of somebody because it's like 3 pages.
Sweet.
But I really enjoyed it and got some good feedback. I'd like to do more of it, but yeah, I think you're right. I think you know, asking someone to deliver certain types of emotions that you even yourself can't conjure up, it can be tough, you know, because you got to be able to articulate what it is you're looking for.
Yes, exactly. And you got to know what you're asking for. That's what I always say. And so, yeah, I think, you know, to put yourself in that, even if, you know, acting is not your end goal, at least having some experiences.
That was Tarantino. Like he pursued acting a little bit here and there, but then when he started being a filmmaker, he's like, I really need to do some more acting to be able to be a good director.
Yeah. And
so he started going to classes, not with the goal of being a working actor, but being a better director.
Yes, exactly. And that's my goal as well, is to just have that understanding with the actors, build that with them. And just feel like, yeah, I've been there, you know?
Yeah,
I've sat in blood for hours.
That's the thing that I think I probably don't sympathize with that much, is when an actor's uncomfortable or whatever. I totally am not aware. I mean, other people will be aware of it, but I'll be like, no, we got to get the shot. I'm like, so focused on the production, it's not the first thing on my mind.
Actors can wait for hours until they're needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I totally get you where you're just like, you've been waiting for hours. You're fine.
Yeah, and not just that, but it's like for me, I tend to be wearing so many hats, and I'm trying to like, because I'll direct and do cinematography at the same time. I tend to do that now, which initially that wasn't the case. I like just directing, but if I know my shots are going to be better, and I can, you know, I like being hands on the camera and stuff like that. Maybe I can't afford a better cinematographer than what I'm able to do, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to shoot it too.
Yeah.
You know, but I like doing that though, because then I don't have to feel weird about being like grabbing the camera and be like, no, I want it to look like this.
Yeah. You know, to your point, on the Asylum film, the director was also the cinematographer. We shot on 3 cameras.
Yeah.
But
he was
A-cam.
he was A-cam, and he was visualizing all that stuff.
Yes, and he was working right with talent, which we had, you know, a decent name.
I think if you
movie.
got a decent AC, first and second AC, it's very doable to direct and do cinematography, a cam operator. You know, I don't think that's. I mean, it's all about your team, right? When you're making a movie, your director and cinematographer are going to be communicating anyway about how the shot's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And some directors are so visually focused, they want every shot to have a certain composition and stuff like that. They'll let their cinematographer maybe light it or whatever, that, you know, establish what the movement is, that type of thing. But, I mean, again, Tarantino's like, every shot in that movie I composed. He'll say that. Like, I hope he's not fucking lying, because the cinematographer Robert Richardson be fucking pissed if that wasn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that apparently that's why they have such a good working relationship.
Yeah.
Is because he does. Robert doesn't have an issue with Tarantino saying, no, I'm composing the shot like this.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of that respecting of like, okay, you're the director, you have the vision. I'm gonna facilitate that for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
if that's the relationship, then
I've worked with people that are either way. You know, I've worked with cinematographers that all they do is they care about facilitating what I'm trying to accomplish, and I've worked with cinematographers that are more concerned with facilitating that their shot looks a certain way, and they might not be as willing to be like, oh, we can shoot at this angle. I've literally had cinematographers be like, we're not shooting that angle because it looks like shit. And I'm like,
yeah,
I've been told that before. I was new, so I wasn't particularly offended by it. Now I feel pretty confident in composition, so I don't feel that weird about it.
Totally, and you know what your coverage is going for, and you know, like, okay, I'm gonna do another angle or another lens or whatever you're gonna do, but you kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have been on sets where I'm like, hey, we're gonna slow down and get the shots that I need, because you're going to go edit this and you're going to be needing it to look better or whatever it is. But I'm like, we're going to wait. and I'm gonna light it correctly.
I think that's good. Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, I think everybody's a little bit different, but there are cinematographers that are able to get stuff to look good, but aren't as concerned about mood and well, you need a blue light over here or whatever. Like they're not as preoccupied with that, and there are other guys that they want to play, they want to paint with those lights and stuff, and they take their time.
So for me, I was really focused on lighting for this action film that I shot. It was a feature film with distribution, and it's an action movie. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna put lights into this. We're gonna shoot on the gimbal or shoot handheld, whatever I need to. But I wanted to make sure that hair was lit, that lighting was motivated, and things like that. And we had a lot to shoot. And every day we had like.
How many pages a day were you doing on that?
I wasn't getting. We weren't getting sides.
Oh.
So
Okay.
So that was a little frustrating, but
what the fuck are we shooting?
yeah. Yeah. So I was kind of frustrated, but
Is it mostly fight scenes and stuff like that?
It was a lot of fight scenes.
So
and it was
a lot of what you're doing is really dictated by the fight coordinator and what he's trying to do, correct?
The director.
The director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your fight coordinator did they previs all the fight scenes or no?
The director.
Okay.
The director definitely planned some stuff out with that one.
You're trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah.
I'll stop asking too many digging questions then. So yeah, but I mean, if that's you're trying to facilitate, I guess I don't want to sound like I'm putting words in your mouth, but something that is a little bit more improvisational. We'll say that.
Yes.
As far as how your approach is.
Yes.
I don't want to say disorganized or anything like that, like we're shitting on anybody, but improvisational shoots are totally fine if you know what the fuck you're doing.
Yes, and so I was trusting the director to guide the production and be like, okay, these are the shots that I need, and I'm cool on one take. Cool, if you're cool on one take, I'm cool. I'm gonna nail it the best I can. If I don't, I'm gonna ask for another one. But if I
think
nail
it's
it,
fair to ask for another one, and I think even sound guys should be willing to do that too. If something happens that disrupts your freaking audio take or whatever, I think it's even fair for a sound guy to be like, you might want to redo
that's
that
ideal.
one. Particularly if it's dialogue. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that person clanked a dish in the background of the fucking set. Can we redo that line, please?
Totally.
I think that's fair. I've done that before. I did sound for a TV show called Daddy's Divas. Was it like a sitcom?
Hilarious.
It sounds like the name of a fucking porno, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's about a single dad with 3 young girls.
Oh,
but yeah. But I did sound for them,
Yeah.
and there were moments where the wind was just so fucking bad. I was like, we should redo that line.
Like that's stepping over the line for sure.
Like, and they trusted me. They're like, dude, if you think so, I was like, you want good audio on that line. Let's redo it.
Yeah, definitely. I had to do that recently on the short film that I was assistant directing. I was watching the monitor, and they were about to move on from the take, and I was like, hold on, the delivery of this line for this angle, you're not getting his line at all because the other dude in the foreground is covering it. You don't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on. I let the director know, and the director's like, yeah, we need to do this again.
Did you just do an insert, or did you recompose the whole shot? Or just move over?
Just an insert, and just picked up only where the spot that they needed.
Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah, and
just
I was like,
get in there.
Yeah, I was like, there we go. I did my job for.
Okay, so you're a cinematographer. I want to ask some freaking tech questions now.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Talked all sorts of production stuff.
Yeah.
Right, but you like the FX3. I like the FX3.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I would like it, but I totally fucking do. I'll probably buy an FX30 because it's half the price, and they're the same camera, just different sensor size. But, but as far as the difference between those two, there's a Super 35 and a full frame. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer full frame? It's kind of a new thing.
Yeah, so I actually really do prefer full frame, and I just think that the more information that you can get on your sensor is obviously going to be better.
Sure.
I am kind of on the fence and weirded out by Blackmagic, right? Because they're all APS-C sensor.
Yeah, the Super 35 where they have a micro four thirds on the 4K.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, those do okay in low light. But every time that I've shot on FX3, FX6, anytime that I've shot on it on that full frame sensor, and using the ISO.
Well, they already have FX3's got a denoise technology too. That's wild.
Yeah. So kind of using the technology to that is kind of what I prefer.
Mm-hmm.
I also own full frame lenses, so I'm trying to keep it in the family.
So do your camera that you own a Sony
A7 II.
A7 II.
Yeah, it's a full.
So
frame.
that's full frame.
Yeah.
But full frame is a newer it's like a newer concept because full frame was usually still photos before it wasn't cinematography until recently.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know that. I had to look that up. I was like, wait a second. It's 35, and then there's Super 35, and then those are cinema, and then 35 millimeter full frame is a photography thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So they're and I mean I get it. Since the lenses are made for full coverage anyway, they're like, well, let's get the most out of it that we can get out of it. Right. As far as digital stuff goes, I think for composition though, full frame, you're getting a lot more separation with your fast lenses, a lot more separation from the background.
Yeah.
With full frame, and
I love it.
You love that. I love separation from the background, but I cannot help it. Super 35, it just still looks like a movie to me.
Yeah.
It's more like a movie to me than full frame.
Yeah, totally.
It does and particularly the 28 mil Super 35 combo.
So,
which conversely is a 40 mil on full frame. It's just a little bit wider than your field of view, and that's why it looks like a fucking movie.
Yeah.
I
was able to use the Blackmagic and then use these Zine primes, which were beautiful. And going back to that, there's just something about that look that I was
Did you use a 28 mil? Did they have a 28 mil?
We used a 24. Yeah, we used a 24,
a little bit bigger,
which is essentially like a 35, right?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, this is, and any cinematographer that wants to freaking have beef with me can say something about it, I guess, but this is what I understand.
Okay.
50 millimeter is the field of view of a normal human vision on a full frame photography, like 35 mil.
Yeah.
Photography.
Yeah.
50 mil is what your eyes can see peripherally.
Yeah,
right?
And that's why I like to shoot 50s for like close up.
Yeah. The reason, so 40 mil on a full frame camera, the reason that it feels like a movie, as far as I'm aware, is that it's a little bit wider than what you're used to seeing. So it takes you out of your own head, right? And you just see a little bit more than what you're used to seeing. That same equation is a 25 mil on a Super 35.
Okay.
That same width.
Right.
And and so since full frame in cinema is a new concept, 28 mil has been heralded as the cinema lens for like 100 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's just a little bit wider than the field of view of the human eye.
Yeah. Okay.
And that causes people to think I'm in another world.
Yeah, it's just a little bit different.
It's just a little bit different and I have a 28 mil f2 that I use on everything.
Yeah.
It's just and it's not a 2.8, it's a 2, so it's got a little bit more separation in the background, and I just love the fucking look of it.
Oh man.
Well, can't help it.
So I will say that the difference for me is that I do two things.
Okay.
So I do shoot movies, but then I will also shoot events, and I'll also shoot live.
That's a totally different thing.
Yeah. And so with that, you do need to be able to go down to those lower f stops, t stops, whichever, for that lack of light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what I use it for. I know the shallow depth of field is, I got to be more accurate with my focus, but it helps me a lot. I have a f1.4 lens.
Yeah, I've got a 50 1.4. It's great.
Yeah, my 50 only goes to 1.8.
Okay.
But I'm like, these right here, it's nice, and so really it just helps me be versatile with what I do for my business. So it kind of comes less from a like technical point. Like it's more like being versatile than just like a style, I guess. At least for what I got
think,
into it with.
videography stuff. If you're shooting events, which I've done both.
Yeah.
If you're shooting that, you want to. I mean, I'm going to shoot the stuff at NAB, and they want me to use the Komodo because they're going to transmit it to something that they're like, well, we have to have global shutter because if we're transmitting it and it's not global shutter, it'll look fucking weird.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, so we're using the Komodo, but if they weren't doing that, the Komodo is not the fucking camera for the job. The FX3 is the camera for the fucking job.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's, yeah.
You know, it's way more versatile. You can capture stuff so fucking fast without fucking it up. It has so many safeguards for you to capture the right shot. You have full manual control of the Komodo. It's a cinema camera, which creates way more variables for you to do something wrong. So you have to know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah,
right.
You got to know how to set it right.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. And when I'm shooting stuff and I've got an AC pulling focus, or maybe I'm pulling focus and they're handling the tripod or whatever, like it's the camera for that fucking gig, right?
Yeah.
But doing videography, it's totally not. But people will still do that, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of curious about what your feelings are on like lenses and composition and stuff like that, because I almost use exclusively my 28 and my 50 all the time.
So what I'm looking to get is an 85 to really have nice close-ups.
Yeah.
To shoot close-ups with an 85. That's what I prefer. And then I love my 35 that I have just because it's nice and wide and it's got that look.
If you're using the 35 on the full frame though, it probably looks a little bit closer to that. It's a little bit wider than my 28 on a Super 35, but only by a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I shot this film on an Emmy with that with my 35 and a 50, and I had another lens as well to have my closer one, but it did it for me when I was watching it back, and I was watching it, and I'm like, and I color graded it and everything. I was like, this is these outdoor scenes at least. These were like, it was hitting for me.
It felt a little more cinematic to you?
Yeah, it felt very cinematic.
Yeah, well, I mean, so Deacons, who did, they did, what is that? It was 1917? Is that what they call it? Yeah. That's shot entirely on 40 mil in full frame.
Yeah.
So it's that same combo.
Yeah.
Right. But they shot I think a couple scenes in 35, but because they have these like where they're cutting, fake cuts or whatever. Hidden cuts or whatever. I think maybe one scene is on a 35, but the majority of it is 40 mil.
Okay.
And but it's on full frame, so it's it has that same kind of a look. But, yeah. But I think it's who was it? David Lynch said that I think it was him. I can't remember. I'm not going to quote the person. It's some big fucking director said that sometimes he believes that you should shoot the whole movie on only one lens. And TV was like that.
That's true.
TV was like that in the freaking 50s and 60s and 70s. There's, like they're shooting all these Western shows and stuff like that, all shooting it on this fucking 28 mil.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, today we kind of are like, okay, lens change, let's get the right look, whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you have your style, and you're like, all right, we're gonna keep it consistent, that adds a lot of integrity to it as well.
It can. I mean, I think it's really a matter of what subconsciously people receive when they see something, right? Like how are they thinking? And that 28 mil or the 40 mil in full frame, it just does something to people. Think movie, you know what I mean? They just kind of think that way, it's weird. I didn't realize that until we shot my second short film, and my cinematographer was using the 28 mil on almost everything, and I was like, what is that? It looks so good.
Yeah.
He's using it on a red Scarlet on 28 mil on there, and it just looked so different than everything else we'd fucking shot on other stuff.
What lens?
That he was using Nikon AIS primes, the old vintage Nikons. I took a hint from him as well because I use my Pentax Takumar sets that are like over 50 years old.
Oh yeah, Pentax.
The Takumars were their professional line of lenses in the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
And they had the super multi-coating on them that reduced flare, right? But the housings on the bodies of the lenses are just like rugged, heavy metal housings, but they're photography lenses, and I Cinevise them.
And okay, did they have the gears on them?
Yeah,
Already?
I could show you if you want to see.
Oh yeah, we gotta see.
Okay,
'Em.
I'll show you the
Yeah.
stuff. I've always had gears on them, but I just recently properly Cinevised them with the proper gears, and then to put a step up ring hood on the front so that it's all everything. So the exterior of the lens of the front is always 80 mil. So
Gotcha.
I have a Tokina 2870 f2.8 that I use as for any coverage bullshit, that videography stuff that I got to do.
So you can put the same NDs.
So
or-
now everything's 80 mil on the outside, so I can put whatever I want. You know, the 77 threads, but the exterior is 80, which is a standard matte box size.
Yeah, yeah.
So everything's now standardized to where they can all work with the same shit.
Hell yeah! I think I just saw you post about that, and I was like, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it wasn't that expensive to properly Cinevise them. I would like to have metal lens gears on them. The ones that I got were rubberized, but they're really rugged and work great.
I mean, it works.
So
You
I
know?
had shitty plastic gears on them before that were like, $5 a piece or whatever.
Oh yeah, I've
an
used those.
upgrade.
I've used those too. Just-
You just use what you gotta fucking use.
Yeah.
But I was tired of having to fuck with them because since they're Pentax lenses, they focus backwards. So I have to hang my follow focus from the top and not the bottom.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I have a short 15 millimeter rod up top, and then I have my rail set on the bottom, so I can use both if I need to.
Hell yeah.
So, and I have a wireless setup too. So it's all I have it all modularly set up.
I
We'll
love that.
camera geek out here in a
Oh, yeah.
second.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's some cool shit. But the Takamars have this warm look, and the bokeh has all the bokeh has this like halo ring around it.
Okay.
And I noticed also if you play with them, if you're shooting them wide open, the super multi-coating and how they're a little soft. They're super sharp when you stop them down just once, right? But when they're wide open, they're just a little softer, and the multi-coating combined with that causes a glow on skin that's really fucking cool looking.
It's like a halation type thing.
Yeah,
or-
yeah. It's a chromatic aberration of some sort. The combination of those
Yeah.
two things, the multi-coating and how it's a little softer.
Yeah.
But it causes the lens to be more forgiving with wrinkles and stuff like that on people's faces.
Okay. Okay.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why I really fucking like the look is that it enhances the look of people's skin a little bit.
It's crispy, but it's not so crisp.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
too much.
Well, let's just think about it. If you've got if it's a little softer, right, and you've got a little bit of chromatic aberration, a little bit of color blending going on there, the wrinkles in people's faces aren't going to be as defined.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
it's going to
yeah.
cause them to look a little smoother overall. Same with the pores and stuff like that in the skin. It's going to affect the look of someone's face.
Yeah.
And it creates I don't know. I just think that it's like you end up saving money in the makeup department.
There you go. That's a great save.
Because
No
it's
need
like
to
you
makeup.
you already freaking look pretty good with this lens on. But you use these really crispy Sony lenses or your Zines or whatever they are. They're so freaking they're so sharp. Well, then it's going to require you to do a lot of other things to make sure that everything looks right.
Yeah.
and you're going to get all those imperfections.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing. It keeps it real. It keeps it legit. Just keeping it just.
Well, and if you're doing production shoots and stuff, yeah, you want those freaking crisp, lenses. If you're shooting a fucking McDonald's commercial or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, you're gonna want
Right.
that. But if you're shooting a movie, and you want that style,
That cinematic quality feels a
Yeah.
little bit dreamier.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and because here's the thing. This is what's funny.
yeah,
The quality that my lenses have wide open, people are adding that quality with filters, in a way, with whatever Pro Mist filter, whatever they're fucking using, they're adding a little bit of that softness or whatever to it after the fact.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's clearly a quality that people value in older lenses.
definitely. There's that dreamy vibe to it for sure.
Yeah.
Talking about bokeh, the ingenue lenses that I got to use on this documentary shoot were insane.
What was the stop on that? How fast were they?
Man, at least probably 2.8. I don't know.
Was it it was a zoom, but it was a pretty fast
It
zoom.
it was fast.
There's that one ingenue zoom.
These were PZs.
The PZs.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh shit, I'm not familiar. I don't know which ones they're called. I
Yeah.
know that Ingenue has been like making awesome zooms for fucking ever, but they make some really fast ones that you could shoot a whole fucking movie on that thing.
Yeah, we had these two cameras, and they each had 45 to 90, and then like 50 to 100 something.
Were you shooting full frame? On those? What
We
were you
shot
shooting
red
on red, so it's
epic with helium.
so since the ones the Monstro wasn't full frame, it was the Super 35.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm.
If it's the helium, it's Super 35.
Yeah, it was with the helium. Yeah.
So you're a little tighter then on a lot of those shots then.
Yeah, we were pretty tight. One of them could go a little bit wider, I think, but we had some nice zoom lenses.
Ingenue does like a 13 to 100 that's fucking wild or something like that. Something crazy.
I think the widest we were able to get was like probably 35.
It's still pretty good.
I don't remember, to be honest, but it was like 35 to 90. It was like pretty tight. But yeah, I was like, all right, we got to be kind of away from who we're interviewing to get a nice, decent,
a little bit,
shot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But man, we brought in this DP from LA on that project, who I got to learn a lot from.
That's always huge. Working with someone who knows what the fuck they're doing, it'll change your life.
He shot for the Mask movies.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he's actually an OG Steadicam operator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
so
wild.
we brought him on because, the DP got sick, and I, was not in a place to take over fully at that point, so I was like, that's cool, but I did that one day, and then they brought in the DP from LA.
That was the guy who was shooting stuff before, or was a different dude? You said someone got sick and you had to shoot on that.
Yeah.
And then so that same guy came back, or a different dude?
No, this was a different dude, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so it was just that one day. It's like, Jaden's got to fucking save the day here.
I did save it, yeah. I totally saved it. And
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get a cam op or credit at all for that?
I'm going to get second unit DP.
Second unit, good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's great,
Yeah.
man. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Damn. So okay, so you're shooting full frame. What kind of lenses are you using? What do you prefer to use? Because you might be renting a bunch of stuff or whatever.
Yeah. So currently I have a G Master. A G Master. That's my 35 at 1.4, and then I have a straight up Sony 50. And then, man, I have just been looking at buying the FX3 and getting probably a nice 85 or a nice zoom.
That 28 to 70 2.8 G Master lens that they fucking have is boss.
Okay.
All that convention stuff I shot on the FX3, everything with that looked fucking amazing. Being able to go to 2.8 was doing 2.8 on a full frame was like going f2 or even like 1.8 on a Super 35. Like you were getting that much separation.
Yeah. Okay.
Really, really nice. It's like a $2,000 lens, but dude, after using it, like totally fucking worth it.
Man, going under 3 is like when you've got those zoom lenses, it's like, okay, this is different because a lot of the zoom lenses don't go under.
No, the F4 usually, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
The more affordable ones, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's when you can get that, it's going to be different for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was nice because, if I wanted to stop down and just get some freaking B-roll coverage or whatever, I could totally get that. But our interviews, all right, we can get some nice separation from everybody. And the autofocus, I know that FX3, that they just did a firmware update where they just put a bunch of cinema camera features into it. But the autofocus that's the reason, one of the reasons why I would buy one.
Yeah, it was stupid good. My Ronin that I have wouldn't connect to the camera, so it was either like operate it and operate it, or just set it to auto and just kind of touch.
You're actually pretty good on auto with the Sony stuff, though. You know, for most stuff. I don't know what the A7 III's like, but the A7S and the FX stuff has been fantastic.
FX stuff is amazing. The A7 II that I have, I hate it. The autofocus is not great.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
that. From using the other ones where it's updated. My camera I think it came out in like 2013.
Yeah.
So it's time for me to upgrade.
Gotcha.
Yeah, So yeah.
Have you ever looked into buying vintage lenses and putting them on the Sony?
Yeah. So a couple of my friends have vintage lens kits for their cameras, and I'm like, okay, this is what you're using.
That's
I'm
if you
gonna
want
note
bang
it.
for your buck as far as good glass, because I like my kit that I have. Most of the lenses in there, like I think my 85 was $650, which is the one that I use the least.
Okay. Okay.
My 35 was, I want to say, right under 300. My 28 was like 450, but the 50 mil, $60.
Yeah. That
Right?
that
So
sounds about right.
like a great 50 mil 1.4 that just looks fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy good deal.
That's beautiful. That
And
sounds
they make
amazing.
And I, even though I have the 28 f2, they make a 28 f2.8 that's like $50 a used
Hell
one.
yeah. Hell
So you know, vintage lenses, like you can get some great glass. You're not gonna have your autofocus features. You need to actually have proper follow
AC,
focus and
yeah.
stuff. You need to have that set up. But if you've got that set up, you can get amazing glass for fucking cheap. So that was where
movies.
that was where I started. That's
Okay.
for sure, is doing vintage glass. I actually don't really. I mean, my 28 to 70 is technically a modern glass, but it doesn't operate like that. It's a Komodo. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I
The
mean?
Komodo doesn't have autofocus like that anymore.
No, it doesn't. The autofocus is, don't even bother.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Red, give it a few more years before Red's even fucking close, man.
Yeah, there's just no point in
Yeah.
trusting the camera, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you might as well just attach the LiDAR like the DJI.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, but as far as like, if you're like, if I was gonna get a second camera, it would definitely be the FX3 or the FX30. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just because of what they can do, man. You won't have any trouble getting the shots you need with one man crew.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty reliable too.
Yeah,
As far as
yeah.
like battery and like
Yeah.
the storage capacity is like great too. With
I was
SD
blown away
cards.
about how much time I had on a fucking CFast Express card. It's like something like 4 or 5 hours at 4K.
You're shooting on like a 128 or like a
So what
on your CFast card. How big was your CFast card?
I don't remember. It wasn't fucking huge.
Like 64 to 128.
It might have been 256, but
Okay.
I think it might have been 128. But the compression of the Sony codec for 4K, and this is the bread and butter on it, right? The compression is incredibly high as far as like what you're getting with your raw data, but the denoise tech that's in there is causing to save you a lot in space, right? They'll denoise the shit so that when you are messing with it later in the grade, you're not getting a lot of weird artifacts you didn't expect.
Yeah, that's important.
Because the denoise has already gotten rid of that for you.
Yeah, thank God, right?
But some codecs, there might be a little bit less compressed, but you put the wrong fucking LUT on it and you can see all the garbage that you didn't see before.
Yeah. It's like, all right, gotta.
It's like, why does this look like shit all of a sudden? What did I do?
Yeah. There's I was shooting at a golf tournament where it was the end of the day, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the lights were just off.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, bumping this thing, the ISO to what
Yeah.
I need to, seeing in the dark, basically.
Mm-hmm.
When they put that in the edit, I was like, it was grainy, but it wasn't as grainy as I expected it to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was like, this is pretty nice.
I mean, originally it was that A7S was what blew everybody away.
Yeah.
A7S, the low light was amazing, but now the FX3 it's already knocked it out of the fucking park.
I'm actually gonna be renting 2 of those when I go shoot a documentary in Oregon.
That's the tool for the job. If you're particularly, are you just going to be the only cam op? Or are you gonna have a second cam op?
I'm gonna have an assistant with me that's kind of just assisting me with everything.
Wayne, that cinematographer that I worked with, he'll run 2 FX3s and he'll run them by himself.
Yeah,
and just like let the autofocus do the thing. He'll have a tighter lens over here, and then he'll be at his wide and run both of them at the same time.
Yeah, my main thing is having to DIT and interview. So I need a second person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that those cameras are going to be it for the job.
Yeah.
And it's going to be beautiful. And I want to be able to, put this onto Netflix if she wants to or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, they're definitely the right tool for the job. So in order for me to do more like doc work or interviews and just stuff where you're trying to capture just moments if you want to be in the moment, be like, oh, I got it, instead of being like, oh fuck, I wasn't in focus and I didn't do the thing and I had to fuck with this, and it's just like it's so many things that if you're, I mean, granted, when you're running a cinema camera, that's made. It's not made for capturing random, unexpected moments. It's made for composing shots.
Yeah, absolutely. You take the time to compose with it. I've gone and done, on the other documentary I did with the Reds and the Ingenue lens, we went and did some crazy shit with we were by, where all the homeless people were, because this was a homeless documentary.
Oh, okay.
But we were like shooting right outside the window with it. We were outside by this gas station with it.
Yeah.
I was hand holding it, following this like shopping cart.
Yeah.
And just doing some other random shit with it. But I was like, hold on, like slow down, like I need to get this thing ready.
They're not expecting that it's a little more cumbersome. Reds are like that.
Heavy as hell.
Yeah, it's heavy.
And it takes time to
dial in your shot.
It does, and to get it to start rolling and to really be ready. Sometimes it's like it's slow.
Yeah,
Even when you turn on.
And I mean there's a reason for that. I mean you're getting the color science and you're getting the dynamic range, right? And you're getting the red codec that you can do anything with afterwards.
That's fair too.
That's why you're using that camera. That's not what you're getting from the Sony.
Yeah.
What you're getting from Sony looks fucking professional, but you're not going to have as much flexibility in post production and whatnot. You just won't.
No, you gotta like shoot in your log and nail your exposure.
Yeah, shoot the look that you want.
Yeah.
With that guy.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I love playing with the red codec, but yeah, it's only good for certain jobs, man. You don't want to use it for everything.
Yeah, and that's it's just like the right tool for the job. The red is great, but a lot of people just are like, oh, red, you know what I mean? And I mean it's a great thing, but there's some respect on Sony and all the other cameras too for the right job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sony's are. I mean, there was a little bit of like initially Sony was just like. They've always been kind of doc and news territory. That's kind of what they've always done. I think they're getting a little bit more recognition now in the actual cinematography type stuff.
Definitely. I saw them using for actual TV FX6s, like the smaller ones,
Yeah.
FX5s probably too. And then just those G Master zoom lens for that.
Yeah.
And they were rocking that.
Yeah.
And, it's the right thing for the job when it's small and lightweight. And
that's the other thing about the FX3. It's so freaking light.
Yeah.
As far as what you're getting, it feels a little beefy in the hand, but it's nothing compared to a fucking cinema camera.
Oh, yeah. And I've shoulder operated those Reds and with those lenses, and I was like, this is long enough. Like,
now, when you're shoulder operating, Are you balancing out like your rig to get a little bit weight on the back so that you're not having to just hold it up with your arms all the fucking time? Apparently people aren't doing that as much anymore. And the Komodo is lightweight enough that I don't necessarily have to all the time. Yeah. But do you do that? Do you actually like put some weights on the back and stuff like that when you're trying to balance it out, or no? Yeah.
For this one, it was kind of like it was pretty balanced out as far as like holding it. But man, it was heavy as hell. It was heavy, and like we did this cooking take where they were cooking, and so there was no cuts. It was like a 7-minute take. I know it doesn't sound long.
Oh, I know it. To me, it sounds long.
It's very long, and we were in the kitchen. It was hot.
Really? Oh, I just knocked all my shit. Yeah, the fucking heat from the kitchen. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, it was getting to me, man, but we got the shot. I got the shot that I needed.
7-minute take is long.
And then afterwards, I put the camera on the sticks, and I took off all my layers that I had, except for my shirt, because I was wearing, hoodie, stuff like that. Yeah. And I was...
That makes sense.
I was like, all right, I'm done for the night. You said that was the last shot. I'm done.
Yeah, for sure.
That was my last shot.
I mean, there are some guys that are like, particularly like Steadicam operators and shit
Yeah.
like that. They lift a shit ton of weights and
Yeah.
stuff. A lot of those fucking guys.
Yeah.
I probably should be doing that, but I haven't. It hasn't fucked me yet as far as camera operating and whatnot.
Yeah,
but stuff can get heavy. That's for sure. I mean, the Komodo is not super duper heavy, but I do have to rig it out with a lot of stuff.
Totally.
You know.
All the accessories.
Yeah.
On the Cupid's Revenge, the horror movie that I shot.
Yeah.
We had the Tilta M ring,
Yeah.
and the RS3.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pretty heavy rig, and I was rocking it with no easy rig for like the first 2 days, and then we had
That's a lot, dude.
and then we had an easy rig for the last 3 days, and I was like, my back was so much better.
Oh,
But
shit,
I
dude.
was doing the thing with no easy rig for the first 2 days.
Fucking ripped when you were fucking biceps are huge. Dude.
We would change the camera, or I would operate the second camera,
Yeah.
and just go handheld, and I'd be like, put this thing down, and then I'd be like,
Oh
all
my
right, this is
God.
super easy now. I'm like, it's like the donut for baseball.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I've got the RS2 and I've got it set up to where I can put my hands like have them both at like the same level. But
Yeah.
still can get fucking heavy though.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that thing's lighter than your Ronin S that you've got.
Right. Yeah.
So but it's still a lot. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, man, we've covered a lot of different things. Holy shit. Yeah. Well, so you got your short that you don't want to say anything about that you're working on.
Yeah.
Right.
That one's called Relive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is there any other like upcoming gigs that you're excited about that you're working on?
So I'm almost done editing Lana and Emmy, which is a short film that these ladies, Lana and Emmy, from Chicago, they came here to shoot with me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they actually crowdfunded that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was I felt that was very special.
Yeah.
So I'm almost done editing that, and then I have this documentary where I'm following this woman's story, and we're doing that in Oregon.
Is that you self-producing that, or is that someone else's they've hired you on?
Yeah. So they're hiring me, and
Okay.
I'm doing everything like
The audio and the camera stuff, just
Yeah.
covering the whole thing.
yeah, and I'm even like making sure that like I'm writing the script for it, like essentially like making sure that like finding the story. And I mean she knows what she wants it to be about,
Yeah.
but I'm making sure that we're going down like interviewing the right people and
Sure.
and answering the questions that the public is gonna ask. That's really my thing too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that. That's cool, man. Well, Jaden, it has been a fantastic time just chatting with you and get to know one another and just talk about stuff.
Can I shout one thing out real quick?
Do it.
This little guy right here. Can they see it?
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, this is my little alien guy that I designed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a handlebar mustache alien guy.
All
You
right.
can find it on my website.
Oh, okay. You selling merch? You got
Yeah,
merch? All right.
yeah.
Well, give us the link. We'll put it in the
Yeah,
YouTube.
directed by
YouTube description.
Stal.com.
It's called what? Directed by Stal.
Yeah, .com. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right. Very cool.
That's
So
me.
aliens, you're into aliens? That's like a thing for you?
Yeah, super
Okay.
into aliens. I think they know what we don't.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I just
Very
wanted to
cool.
shout that out at the end.
Hell yeah. Is there anything else that you want to promote?
Just if you guys enjoyed our podcast and you want to check me out, directedbystyle.com is my website.
The link will be in the YouTube description.
Thank
All
you,
the
Nick.
Yeah, all the stuff will be there.
Yeah, so that's me.
Fantastic. Jaden, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate it, and just talking and sharing a bunch of like insight as well about just like getting plugged in and what the scene's like here and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the people that we've had on the podcast have been either they're in their own niche or they are just getting their start or whatever. And so because of that, maybe they might not know a whole lot of things that you know. So I really do appreciate it. If any of you guys are looking for somebody that essentially is willing to do a lot of different things, but primarily direct cinematography or whatever, hit him up. The freaking link is going to be in the description as well. And you can contact him as well if you like the kind of stuff that he's making. He seems like a very pleasant dude, I'm sure. So being on the podcast and just chatting it up with us. So you're welcome to hit him up. I'm going to do my little closing remarks and then we'll be done.
Thanks, Nick.
So, hey, thank you, man. All right, everyone. Thank you for being hanging out with us on the podcast, and thank you, Jaden, for hanging out with us. We don't have these next 2 weeks. I will be on set, so I won't be doing any podcasts And then we'll have by that I'll have somebody scheduled here. Not next week or the week after, but the week after that. We'll have somebody scheduled for that. I'm not sure who it is, but we've got a whole line of people that are interested in being on it. So until then, I might not see you guys for a little while, but I'm glad you guys get to hang out with us. And that's pretty much going to be it. So thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys again.